Welcome to the beginning of the NBA playoffs. We are at TD Bank North Garden, the home of the Boston Celtics. Game one between the Celtics and the visiting Chicago Bulls. It is loud and it is alive here in Boston as the young Bulls look to throw a scare into the defending NBA champions, who will be playing, as you know, without Kevin Garnett. They've still got Paul Pierce. They've still got Ray Allen. They've still got Rajon Rondo. And they've got Garnett out on the bench right now, although he is not able to play. Hi, everybody. Dan Shulman and John Barry. Glad you are with us this afternoon. Plain and simple, what do you think their chances are to win this series, to go deep into the playoffs without Kevin Garnett?
I think they're going to get pushed in this series. I really believe the Chicago Bulls have played excellent basketball over the last month. Maybe they're young enough to not understand the magnitude of what they're dealing with. They're on the defending champions court. They've got guys that can get up and down the floor. They play great since a huge trade. Boston's going to have all they can handle. The loss of Kevin Garnett is devastating. This is the difference maker for the Boston Celtics. And the difference maker for the Chicago Bulls is Derrick Rose. What a terrific season. The Rookie of the Year, most likely. He's been great. Plays with a great demeanor. Never too high, never too low. If he can take it to Rondo, the Bulls have a great chance.
Let's go to Nancy Lieberman, who is cross-court with more on Kevin Garnett. Nancy?
Well, thank you, Dan. Kevin Garnett's routine throughout the regular season, when he was injured, was to go into the locker room and watch the game because he couldn't stand being on the bench, even though he couldn't play. Doc Rivers thought it was important enough for him to be on the bench for the playoffs. When I talked to Paul Pierce, he said the guys prefer him here, especially the bigs. Their eyes light up. He means something to them when he speaks. By the way, Doc Rivers wore his championship ring as a reminder of what they did a year ago, but it will come off right before the game.
All right, Nancy, thank you. Let's check out the starting lineups, beginning with the visiting Bulls and the likely Rookie of the Year in the NBA in Derrick Rose. John Salmon's not healthy, playing with a groin injury, but he has been a huge addition to the Bulls since coming over prior to the trade deadline. For the Celtics, it is Glenn Big Baby Davis out of LSU who will get the start in place of Kevin Garnett. You'll see a lot of Leon Poe as well. Still a very physical bunch with Davis and Poe and Kendrick Perkins. And Vinny Del Negro says the Bulls need to match the physical play of the Boston Celtics.
Well, that is the big question. What is going to win out? Is it the physicality or is it the speed and athleticism of the Bulls front line?
We saw a number of the players blowing into their hands before tip-off. The Bruins are playing here tonight, and obviously the ice is right under the court. And it's cold in this building. It's getting warmer as it fills up. But when we walked in here a couple of hours ago, it was freezing.
Oh!
Joakim Noah from Derrick Rose.
Well, that is the Chicago Bulls right there. They have to get up and down the floor. Do not let this Boston Celtic defense set up in the half court. The Bulls are going to look to push all afternoon long.
A young Chicago team. Rose is a rookie. Joakim Noah in his second year. Tyrus Thomas in his third year. A foul inside on Ben Gordon in a matchup of UConn alums, Ben Gordon and Ray Allen.
Well, again, I mentioned that the Chicago Bulls need to get up and down the floor. Great push here by Rose, finding a much improved Joakim Noah. He and Tyrus Thomas have improved their play over the last 2 months of this season, and they're a big reason why this Bulls are in the playoffs and got back to 500 after being 8 games under at 29-37.
Such a different-looking Chicago team from the beginning of the season. We'll document that over the course of the afternoon. Here's one of the best shooters in league history, number 2 in the NBA in free throw percentage this year, Ray Allen. Knocks it down. Vinny Del Negro, the first-year head coach of the Chicago Bulls. And this was a team where the pieces just really didn't fit at the beginning of the year. They had a difficult year last year. But John Paxson making a couple of trades, bringing over Miller and Salmons from Sacramento, some pickups from other places as well. And this is clearly a better team right now than it was at the beginning of the season, even with Luol Deng out with an injury.
Well, and let's give Vinny some credit, too. Before this trade, this team was 7-3. They started to play better basketball. He has done a terrific job. It hasn't been just the trade that's made the difference. Vinny's become a better coach as this season progressed.
Derrick Rose getting around the screen. And we have a defensive 3-second call. It'll be a technical and a free throw coming for the Bulls. Some of the new faces for Chicago. John Salmons came in. Brad Miller came in. Tim Thomas from the Knicks. And those are really the 3 guys who have been the key guys. Brad Miller has meant a lot to this young Chicago team.
Well, he has. He's got playoff experience. He's a terrific passer. And he has helped Noah and Thomas become better players. And if you look at this trade was a money trade. Let's be honest, this was trying to get ready for 2010, the great free agent class. I don't think the Bulls expected to play such great basketball after this trade was made.
A lot of pick and roll early with Derrick Rose and one of the bigs, usually Noah. Rose still a developing but an improving jump shooter. Salmons misses from the baseline. It'll be a shot clock violation in Boston ball.
Well, Salmons, as you mentioned, with the groin injury, and he is a huge factor in this series. He's going to start out on Paul Pierce. If he can somehow play to the level of Paul Pierce, I know he's not going to outplay him on a nightly basis, but keep that matchup close. It will pay dividends for the Bulls.
Perkins backing down Noah, up and over. Boston by 1.
Salmons had a 38-point game the last time these two teams met. Pierce had 37. The Bulls win that game 127-121. They need to get this game in the hundreds and score a lot of points.
Tyrus Thomas knocks down a 15-footer, not really known as a jump shooter, but his game has kind of evolved over the course of the season as well.
I'd like that jump shot to be taken out of his game, to be quite honest. This is a guy that is so athletic. Learn some post moves, get in the paint, use your athleticism.
Foul on Kendrick Perkins with the illegal screen. Doc Rivers, 5th full season as head coach of the Boston Celtics, led them to the NBA championship a year ago. Not happy with that call. What do you think Doc Rivers' biggest concern, other than Garnett? Obviously, without Garnett, what is he really focusing on heading into this series?
Well, I think they have to find a way to score the basketball. Paul Pierce, obviously, he's been terrific. Ray Allen, a capable scorer, but Perkins, Poe, Davis, one of those guys has to be a factor in the post. They're not really guys that you dump the ball down to and say, hey, go get me 15, 20 points. So they're going to have to find some scoring other than Allen and Pierce.
And Ray Allen stepped out of bounds. Interesting matchup with Kevin Garnett out. Glenn Davis takes his place as the starting power forward. Tyrus Thomas, the guy that he's covering, they're best friends. Thomas and Davis were part of the Final Four team at LSU, and they are literally best friends now covering one another here in the NBA playoffs. Great look for Ben Gordon. And it was a Thomas screen that freed up Gordon.
Well, I love Ben Gordon. He is just a flat-out scorer. If he gets going, he makes the game so much easier for everyone else because he's got to garner double teams when he is on a roll.
Pierce gets a look and knocks down the elbow jumper. Paul Pierce, the finals MVP a year ago, and he stepped up large. You look at his numbers with and without Garnett this year, and Paul Pierce really stepped it up a notch in the absence of Kevin Garnett.
Well, it never fails to amaze me that he seems to be the best player on the floor on a nightly basis. And I don't care if LeBron James is out there, if Kobe Bryant's out there, Dwayne Wade. Paul Pierce, I don't think there's anybody that accepts a challenge more than Paul Pierce does on both ends of the floor. He is just, the maturation process for the last couple of years of Paul Pierce has been incredible.
Noah with a block on the drive by Rondo. And back come the Bulls with the ball and a 1-point lead early here in Boston. Gordon, their leading scorer for the 4th consecutive season, at just over 20 points per game, and he draws the foul. Ray Allen didn't like the call. Our officials today, Bennett Salvatore, who's in your screen right now, Eddie F. Rush, and Michael Smith.
Now the Chicago Bulls, and Vinny Del Negro admits this, that they have to get better defensively. Here we're going to see a beautiful block by Noah, who's in the top 15 in the NBA in blocks, as is Tyrus Thomas. Start the break, but they clearly have to become a better defensive team if they want to advance in the playoffs.
Now the Chicago Bulls, as well as they played down the stretch, JB, they had the number 6 spot in their sights. All they had to do was beat a non-playoff team, Toronto, at home. On the final night of the regular season, they would have been number 6. Philadelphia would have been number 7. They lost that game, and as a result, fell to 7th in a matchup against Boston instead of playing Orlando in the first.
Well, I think that's a major factor. I mean, I think Orlando's a team that likes to get up and down the floor as well. It's a good matchup for the Bulls, but hey, you have to forget that. That was the regular season. They've had a couple days now to prepare for the Boston Celtics. Without Kevin Garnett, this will be a better series than most might think.
Miscommunication between Pierce and Rondo, and the Celtics a little out of sync early as they turn it over for the 3rd time. And Boston and Chicago, this is the 2-7 series. The winner of this series plays the winner of Orlando, Philadelphia, and the Magic and the 76ers will get going tomorrow night at 5:30 Eastern in Orlando on TNT.
What a day. This is great. We're starting off. This is a 2-month journey. Games every night going on here for the first couple weeks. Oh, this is great.
Noah active. Good cut inside by Thomas. Blocked by Davis. Noah gets it back. And here come the Celtics. Pierce trying to back down Salmons. Fadeaway jumper. Too strong. Noah very active on the glass at both ends of the floor. 6'11", only about 230. Derrick Rose misses the jumper. Any doubt in your mind that Rose is the Rookie of the Year in the NBA?
You know, for me, I think he is, but a lot of times you'll see people vote as Ray Allen misses a jump shot on who averages the most points, and that's O.J. Mayo. Right. But you're talking about a point guard that has his team in the playoffs, been very, very consistent. I think he's the Rookie of the Year.
Rondo, among the league leader in steals, picks the pocket of Derrick Rose and then tried to buy himself a shooting foul at the other end, but he won't get that call. Derrick Rose among league leaders in so many important categories for rookies. Second in scoring, second in minutes, and maybe most importantly, he is a point guard, and he was first in assists among NBA rookies.
And 47%, Dan. I mean, that's terrific shooting. Still got working on that jump shot. He's got a good coach in Vinny Del Negro that can shoot with the best of them, so he'll improve in that area.
Ray Allen left hand, a block by Tyrus Thomas. Thomas getting tripped up, getting tangled up with Allen behind the play. Ben Gordon is open and banks it home.
Well, the Chicago Bulls don't look very frightened here. I don't think there's anything that would lead you to believe that they're intimidated. They're out here to play.
And playing with house money, even with Garnett out. There are not very many people who think they have a chance in this series, but off to a good start here in game one. Nice spin inside, and Pierce draws the foul on Thomas.
Well, that's what the Boston Celtics are going to do, is we get 2 on Tyrus Thomas. Big factor there. Now you go to Brad Miller, not the athletic player of Tyrus Thomas, but Paul Pierce. This is what we're going to see primarily from this team. He is the only Boston Celtic player that can create his own shot and isolate. Ray Allen, more of a guy that's going to come off picks. Rondo has to take the ball to the basket. He's not an ISO type player. So you're going to see Paul Pierce primarily posting up, and you're going to see him at the free throw line, where they love to ISO him at the free throw line because that makes it very difficult to double team. And Paul Pierce, one of the best one-on-one players we have in our game.
How many different Bulls do you think we could see covering Paul Pierce at some point?
Well, we have Salmons now, Kirk Heinrich, an excellent defender, but undersized against Pierce. We'll see him. We'll see Tim Thomas at times, Tyrus Thomas possibly at times. And Paul Pierce could be playing a little bit of the 4 spot. Doc Rivers telling us before the game that they might downsize if the Bulls decide to go small with Gordon, Heinrich, and Rose.
The Celtics could counter with Eddie House in a 3-guard lineup of their own. Miller, good shooter, good passer, off to Rose. Good show by Perkins. Salmons can't get it off. 3 to shoot. Noah inside, off balance, Celtic ball. 5 on 4. Noah slow to get back. Boston can't capitalize. Had an open Perkins under the rim. Rondo calling for the screen from Davis. Look at Rondo. Look at that.
What a beautiful ball.
Wow. That's the product of 2 things. God-given ability and huge hands. He's a 6'1" guy with hands like a 6'11" guy. Now an air ball by Salmons.
How are the Bulls going to respond to a little Celtic run here?
Perkins with a reverse. Boston takes the lead.
Dan Rajon Rondo with the beautiful ball fake behind the back pass, and he lays it in. And KG before the game getting his boys ready. Come on, guys, you can do this without me. It's going to be tough, but you got to believe the defending champs playing with pride.
Back in Boston, the Celtics up 1 early on the Chicago Bulls. Kevin Garnett, very nice suit, but they'd rather have him in uniform. Not going to happen for a while, maybe the duration of the playoffs. Time now for tonight's Cooler Talk, presented by Gatorade. Doc Rivers.
Oh, he's out. I mean, I don't think there's any way he plays. Obviously, there's a glimmer of hope, I guess, 1%, less than 1%. The longer we play, it may go up to 5%, but he's not playing. Besides his scoring and his rebounding and his defense and his leadership and his verbal leadership, I don't think we missed that much.
They don't miss that much besides those 5 things. But you see the Boston Celtics without Kevin Garnett. The key there is 8-5 versus playoff teams. Sure, you should beat the non-playoff teams, but you're giving up 100 points a game, 107 points a game versus playoff teams, and that's the difference of having Kevin Garnett. Yes, he's a capable guy of getting 30 points, but it's the defense, the communication, and that's why the Boston Celtics won a title last year, because they're the best defensive team in the league.
Brad Miller leaves the jumper short. We should have mentioned for some of those games when Garnett was out, Leon Poe was out, Big Baby was out, Brian Scalabrine was out, so they were shorthanded in the front court. Right now they've got Poe back, they've got Davis back. They hope to get Scalabrine back from post-concussion syndrome for Game 3 in Chicago. So they're actually, even though they're without Garnett, they're healthier now than they've been through most of the last 2 months. Salmons driving by Pierce all the way to the rim, up and under and in. What a tough move by Salmons.
Oh, great finish to go to the other side of the rim, gets the contact, able to finish. John Salmons, you know, he averaged 18 in Sacramento before he came over to Chicago. He's been averaging 18 for them. I think a lot of people just really hadn't seen him play. Who wants to watch Sacramento nowadays?
Well, he's got to be on the short list for one of the most improved players in the NBA, as Paul Pierce is forced to foul Derrick Rose, showing some early ups.
Oh, man. This guy is definitely, he's got the power speed, is what Doc Rivers says. Rondo with speed, but now we see Salmons with the finish there, getting the contact. But he talks about Derrick Rose, and it's the power speed versus just a guy that's speedy.
Right. But Doc Rivers says once Derrick Rose gets his shoulders by you, it's over. He's so strong, you just can't slow him down. And he's got a terrific combination of strength and speed. And maybe above all else, JB, he is such a willing learner. He goes to everybody he can find to learn everything that he can about playing the point guard in the NBA.
And sometimes that's to a fault. Vinny Del Negro tells us that he tries to do everything so perfect that he's out on the floor thinking too much and not reacting. This is an instinctive game. You've got to be able to react.
Like Rondo just did, finding Perkins for the and one.
A beautiful pick and roll. Rondo finding a streaking Kendrick Perkins. No weak side help from the Chicago Bulls. Brad Miller has got to be over on that side of the floor to stop Perkins from the easy one.
And Perkins already with 6 points in the early going.
You know, you look at the Boston bigs, and they're all about the same. They all shoot a high percentage. They all average about 8 points a game, all average 4 to 7 rebounds. It's a 4-spot by committee in the absence of Kevin Garnett.
Noah going right at Perkins, switches hands and drops it in left-handed.
Well, that's a terrific move, and that's a move that he couldn't make early in the season. A much improved offensive player. You know, I really thought when he came in the league, he was a poor man's Anderson Varejao, but he has made some serious strides as Rondo knocks down the open J, and that's trouble for the Chicago Bulls if he can knock that shot with any consistency.
2 great young point guards in Rose and Rondo, and once those jump shots of theirs get better, they're going to be as good as anybody in this league, potentially. 1-point lead for the Bulls. There is Rose with the jumper along 2.
It's not a pretty looking jump shot, but at 47%, obviously he can shoot the ball fairly well and fairly consistently. A lot of work over the summer to get that ball with a little more arch. Tends to shoot it a little flat when his feet aren't square. As Rondo knocks down his second one in a row.
Well, just as we predicted, it would come down to a jump shooting contest between Rondo and Rose.
Well, we might not have a whole lot of scoring if that's the case, but early on, looking pretty good.
Rose draws the double team, finds Miller, and he misses another open look. Rondo speeding up the court all the way. Rajon Rondo played very, very well in 3 regular season games against the Bulls this year. Scored off at an average better than 10 assists per game. Boston won 2 of the 3, with the home team winning all 3 games. A lot of changes, of course, for Chicago, though, since some of those games were played. Now a Bulls turnover. Rondo blocked by Miller. Boston ball when we come back. Good point guard matchup in the early going, JB.
Well, both point guards doing what they don't do best, knocking down jump shots. Rondo coming off a screen, the man goes underneath, you got to pull up and shoot it. Rondo knocks it down, and then on the push in transition, nobody stops the ball, take it all the way to the hoop, and Boston regains the lead. We'll see how the Chicago Bulls react.
Vinny Del Negro grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, grew up a big-time Boston Celtics fan. And you can see in what is otherwise a sea of green here in Boston, Vinny Del Negro's parents, Vin and Peg, supporting their son here in Chicago. Let's listen in to some of Vinny Del Negro's thoughts on a recent Bulls timeout.
When the ball goes up, they're pushing us in our back, even on free throws. We got to be strong. Second thing is, Brad and Joe, remember Pierce and Allen, we're blitzing. Rondo, we're getting under, we're getting nail help. We shouldn't allow that layup for Rondo. Someone's got to be there.
So Rondo, they're getting under. They're going under on the screen. They'd rather give Rondo the jump shot than the layup, but he's knocked down a couple of jump shots. It's the sound strategy, but he's making them pay so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the way you have to play him. Yeah. You can't let him get into the paint. And when he says blitz, he says we're going to blitz Pierce and Allen. That means they're going to double team. They're going to trap the pick and roll with those 2 players and then go under on Rondo. Force Rondo to take jump shots. If he's going to make those shots all night long, you're going to lose.
Leon Poe is in now for the Celtics, taking over for Glenn Davis, and Kirk Heinrich has come in for Chicago for Derrick Rose. So it'll be Heinrich defending Rondo right now. And Heinrich, the best perimeter defender the Bulls have. One-on-one, Perkins and Noah. Perkins off to a big start. He's got 8.
He's just too strong for Noah. Noah has great length, but he cannot keep him out of the paint. You cannot let a guy back you down 3-4 dribbles right underneath your basket.
Salmons with the pull-up. Miller and Noah both there, and Chicago missing some golden opportunities around the rim. A look at the NBA calendar on ABC next. It'll be game 1 between Detroit and Cleveland beginning at 3 o'clock Eastern. Philadelphia, Orlando, Miami, Atlanta with a doubleheader tonight on TNT. Then New Orleans and Denver at 10:30, completing the tripleheader on NBA TV on Tuesday, has Houston at Portland. Give me the most compelling first-round playoff series.
I think Houston-Portland. I like that to go 7 games. I love this young Portland team. I think a lot of people might pick them if they had some experience. That's the only thing holding them back. But they have all the pieces of being an excellent team. It's going to be a fun series. 7 games there, I think.
And of course, Portland in the 4 spot. If whoever wins that series would play, presumably, the Lakers in the 2nd round. Eddie House is coming in. The Lakers playing the Utah Jazz in a first-round series in a 1-8 matchup. Paul Pierce out, Eddie House in. So a smaller lineup right now for Boston. It's Rondo, House, and Tony Allen. Really 3 guards in the game right now for the Boston Celtics.
And we talked about Salmons having the groin problem. He's off to a 1-for-4 start, and it just doesn't look right. And Vinny Del Negro told us before the game that, hey, sometimes he can go out and it gets warm, it gets loose, and everything's okay. And then there's other times that he just can't get stretched out and feel good.
An 8-0 run right now for the Boston Celtics. Here's Salmons driving by Allen, finds Heinrich. And another Chicago turnover. There's 6. Well, one other aspect of this series that we haven't mentioned is the health of Danny Ainge, the Vice President General Manager of the Boston Celtics, suffering what was termed a mild heart attack 2 days ago, and the 50-year-old Ainge continues to recuperate at Mass General here in Boston, and we certainly send our best to Danny Ainge for a speedy and full recovery from what we understand could be released as soon as tomorrow, although there's no confirmation of that. We don't know if he's allowed to watch the game in the hospital as Eddie House misses the 3, but we certainly hope Danny's doing well.
Absolutely, I concur. I sent him a text, and hopefully he's great. That's a scary thing.
Yep. Inside, Joakim Noah, left hand again.
Well, this has been a terrific start for the Bulls. They're right here, down 3 with a minute to go in the first. You never know what might happen with a young ball club, but they've come out, taken the lead. They've played their style of basketball other than the turnovers. And Rajon Rondo getting to the basket at will. Everything's been okay.
And Derrick Rose just lifted his hands to the air towards Brad Miller as if to say, where were you with the help? And Derrick Rose says, anything Rondo can do, I can do better. And now it's Rondo looking at Leon Poe saying, you got to stop the ball.
Well, both these point guards have been able to get into the basket. You have to have someone meet them outside the paint. If you meet them in the paint, it's too late. How about Rondo with a quick 10 here to start the first quarter? Maybe he's going to be that third guy that can score other than Pearson Allen.
Let's go to Nancy Lieberman for more.
I had an opportunity to talk to Derrick Rose today. He was telling me it was so important for me. Last week, I called B.J. Armstrong. I said, B.J., I know you're my agent, but you've been here. You have 3 rings. They went to lunch. He asked him what it was like for the next level, how the playoffs would translate out of the regular season. He was looking for the next level information. That's the type of guy that Derrick Rose is. BJ told me, he goes, you know, one thing about him, he likes to listen, he likes to learn, and then he likes making the adjustments. He knew how important the playoffs were for the Bulls. Nice when your agent has been in that situation before. Former Bull and a point guard, guys.
All right, Nancy, thank you. Great stuff. Rose again, the lob for Noah. Joakim Noah with 8 points already, and Derrick Rose has assist number 4. The first time you played in the playoffs, what struck you the most?
How scared I was. No, you know what? It's the intensity from the opening tip until the end. Every possession so valuable.
Mikey Moore misses on a good feed from Rondo, who reaches in and fouls Rose.
Well, how about Derrick Rose? Is this his 10th season in the league? This guy is unflappable. Again, a great push here, a no-look lob pass right on the money to Noah. That's the second time already today we've seen the lob. He is running the show. He hasn't turned the ball over. And Derrick Rose seems to be in complete control of his game right now in his first playoff game ever.
Stephon Marbury will make his playoff debut as a Celtic. Didn't play a whole lot in the last 20-25 games towards the end of the season for Boston. It really did not have, I think, the desired impact that maybe they expected from him. Ray Allen is back in as well. And Derrick Rose is back to the free throw line where he's already 3 for 3 today.
You know, on your Marbury point, there's just players that are guys that need the basketball in their hands. And when you look at Allen Iverson, who went from Denver, which is an isolation team that get up and down the floor, to Detroit, and we know it didn't work out. And I think it's the same thing here with Marbury. He's a guy that loves to have the basketball in his hands, makes plays for himself first and his teammates second, and that's just not the style of basketball the Boston Celtics play.
The only thing it really allows the Celtics to do is when Eddie House comes in, he comes in as more of a shooter rather than a backup point guard, so it frees up House a little bit.
Well, yes, you need someone to handle the basketball. That's not what Eddie House does. Yeah. But again, that's a very small backcourt. And when you get into teams that have big backcourts, you just can't play these two guys together.
So Boston looking to hold for the final shot. Chicago on a 7-0 run right now. An impressive first quarter on the road. They're the first playoff game here between the Bulls and Celtics. Rondo stutter step, driving again. Unstoppable. Rose with some time. As the first quarter comes to a close, all knotted up at 28. And how about the play of the 2 young point guards? Rajon Rondo, who of course has been through all this before, and Derrick Rose playing in his first ever NBA playoff game. We are off to a good start. Boston and Chicago, no Kevin Garnett for the Celtics. Rondo trying to pick up the slack. Derrick Rose carrying the load to the other end for the Bulls. It is tied at 28.
Welcome back to Boston. Bulls coach Vinny Del Negro, how important was it for your team, a young team, to get off to this type of start, especially here in the playoffs?
Well, I think it was important. You know, I thought we were aggressive at times, got a little out of sync at times. We got to control Rondo a little bit better. He had a nice first quarter with his penetration, but we got to control them, but I liked our effort.
Besides Rondo's 12 points, you did a great job. How do you slow Rondo down, especially in the half court?
Well, we'll change up our coverages a little bit on him, but, you know, he made a couple jump shots, but he got to the basket a little bit too easy, so we're going to have to get in and help a little bit on that penetration.
Okay, thank you. Dan.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much. Well, Rondo, the high score in the game, had 12 first quarter points. On the bench right now, it's Marbury and House in the backcourt for the Boston Celtics. Tim Thomas is into the game and now for Chicago. Second time around with the Bulls, picked up for the Knicks earlier this season. Gordon using the screen, finding Brad Miller, and Miller knocks down his first shot now with 4 attempts. So Chicago got to the end of the first quarter, JB, tied with Miller scoreless and John Salmons having only 2 points.
Well, no, you couldn't draw up a better start for the Bulls. On the road, tied after 1 with the defending champs. Derrick Rose certainly doesn't look intimidated. A great sign for the Chicago Bulls in the first quarter.
And again, 3 guard looks for both teams, and that means Eddie House is getting some minutes, and he knocks down a long 2. Eddie House, by the way, set a Celtic franchise record this year for the highest single-season three-point percentage. Made 6 out of 9 in the game in the season's final game to break Danny Ainge's record. Marbury using the screen, passed up the shot. Mikey Moore the kick. Marbury passed it up again and finds Poe on the inside. So Poe will head to the line. Let's listen into Doc Rivers in the last timeout.
Every possession is big. We got to go get it. We got to go get it.
Everybody got to see the ball. Let's get good shots.
Hey, listen. Steph is getting to the basket. Randall's getting to the basket. When he's driving, Rose is getting out. The 2 or the 3, y'all got to pick up Rose.
And maybe the only surprise that Kevin Garnett didn't barge into the middle of that huddle and start telling people what he thinks they should do too. It's hard for a guy with the intensity of Garnett to keep to himself and just to sit there and not be a part of the action. He is out on the bench, something he did not do during the regular season when he was injured, but Doc Rivers told him he wanted him on the bench, and there's KG.
Well, what Doc Rivers is talking about is anytime the point guard drives to the basket, Derrick Rose is releasing as Tim Thomas knocks down a 3-point shot. That means the wing players have got to get back, and Derrick Rose has gotten out in transition. We've seen a couple lobs. We've seen him lay the ball in a couple times. So you have to have defensive balance, and nobody does it better than the Boston Celtics. Doc getting on his team right now, though.
Tony Allen, Mikey Moore. House using the screen. In and out, a rebound to Miller. Chicago will push at every opportunity. Ben Gordon gets inside. Wanted a foul call. Here come the Celtics. Heinrich slows down Marbury. Marbury the kick. Eddie House for 3. Poe on the glass, and Mikey Moore comes up with the follow.
Well, you have a small lineup. Tim Thomas at the 4. Can't give up offensive looks as Rose misses the easy one.
Tied at 33 early in the second. The NBA playoff opener. Game 1 between the Bulls and Celtics. Don't forget Cleveland and Detroit coming your way on ABC a little bit later on this afternoon. Poe, left hand. Boston takes the lead.
Leon Poe, not a guy that's going to play above the rim, but they're a great solid move. Jump stop, step through. And against Tim Thomas, he doesn't need to play above the rim.
Gordon off the screen, couldn't handle the pass. Thomas forces one up, and it'll be Boston ball. Log on to NBA.com now for the most extensive playoff coverage and in-depth highlights of today's Bulls-Celtic matchup, as well as up-to-date scores, stats, and schedules from the postseason. NBA.com, the game happens here. Game 2, by the way, is Monday night. You want to talk about a busy weekend in one town. Poe spinning and is fouled by Thomas. The Bruins play in this building tonight at 8 o'clock against the Montreal Canadiens. The Red Sox play at Fenway tonight and tomorrow against Oakland. And then the Boston Marathon is on a Monday, plus the Celtics play again Monday night. And then if you want to hang around long enough, Springsteen is here Tuesday and Wednesday.
Well, I'm running Monday, so I'm probably going to take off after the marathon.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Well, this is a matchup that Boston's gone to now the last 2 times down the floor. Poe on Thomas. We'll see if Vinny Del Negro makes a move to get Tyrus Thomas back in the ballgame. He does have 2 fouls. Or maybe you bring in Noah to combat Leon Poe in the post.
See, they're hoping to raise another banner here for the Bruins, who are one of the...
Didn't take you long to get your hockey talk in, did it?
No. got to do what you got to do.
Les habitants here.
Les habitants. You got some work to do there. But, yeah. I appreciate the effort.
I enjoy the game of hockey. Let's just leave it at that.
All kinds of fun for Boston sports fans, many of whom will probably be at this game, go out for a bite to eat, and then come right back in for the hockey game tonight. Thomas the miss, Poe the rebound.
You know, you're getting away from what you do best, and that's run up and down the floor. You see, half court, one-on-one basketball is not the way the Bulls play.
Poe and Thomas, one-on-one. Poe inside, good help by Miller. Mikey Moore. Now, good effort by the Celtics, but they couldn't convert.
Well, you're right. Good help by Brad Miller. 3 straight times now down to Leon Poe. It was about time somebody came and helped Tim Thomas.
Poe just his 3rd game back from a knee injury, but looking fine. Had 18 points, 13 rebounds in the regular season finale against Washington. Kirk Heinrich with a corner 3. The Bulls have tied it.
A good ball movement there. Swing, and the man open right in the corner. Kirk Heinrich, who wasn't real happy with the timing of that pass, though, from Ben Gordon. Didn't get it right when he was open.
Marbury will take his first shot and leave it well short.
Now, he just doesn't look like the Stephon Marbury that we've seen for so many years in the league. He's tentative.
Yeah. Didn't play, of course, for about the first 60 games. Heinrich, no. Miller, good offensive rebound. Thomas wide open.
Well, he's not bashful.
Spoken by someone who wasn't known to be bashful himself. Tony Allen a little strong, and now both teams have gone cold. Nothing wrong with not being bashful, is there?
Absolutely not.
Rose inside and draws the foul as he goes tumbling into the folks underneath the basket. Tied at 36 here in the 2nd in Boston. Back here at TD Bank North Garden, the home of the Celtics, tied up at 36. The Bulls with a very good effort in the early going. We talked about how crazy this weekend is for Boston sports fans. A lot going on in Chicago as well, and all things Chicago. In-depth coverage of the local teams from a Chicago perspective. Cubs, Bulls, Hawks, White Sox. Who are the Bears going to draft? ESPN's version of covering Chicago sports is at ESPNChicago.com. And the Chicago Blackhawks picking up a playoff win over Calgary. The Bulls here for the game 1. The Bears picking up Jay Cutler. And don't forget, tomorrow night, Sunday Night Baseball. One of the best rivalries in Major League Baseball. Always has been, always will be. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs tomorrow night at 8 Eastern right here on ESPN. Wrigley Field, one of your favorite baseball stadiums to go to.
It is. You actually got me a couple tickets last summer, and I caught a Cardinals-Cubs game at the old Wrigley.
And you're returning the favor. We're going to go check out a little Red Sox.
A little Red Sox tonight. Chicago, nothing better in the summer than Chicago. Wow.
Derrick Rose is a Chicago native. In fact, when they announced him, Doc Rivers is a Chicago guy as well. When they announced Derrick Rose, when he's introduced in Chicago, they don't say from the University of Memphis. They say from the city of Chicago.
Oh, really?
Derrick Rose.
Nice.
So they've kind of skipped over that 1 year that he had in Memphis when he led the Tigers to the national championship game.
Well, if he keeps playing like he played this year, he'll be able to tell them whatever he wants them to say to introduce him.
Glenn Davis back in now for Boston, off to Marbury. It'll be Davis. Yes, Glenn Davis has developed some pretty good range on that jumper. Chicago, especially since the trades, a very high-scoring team since they picked up Salmons and Miller. They can get up and down. Salmons, another tough one, but he knocks it down. Second field goal of the afternoon for John Salmons.
Well, that was a tough one. And as you said, they can score. Number 8 in the league in scoring. But 107 a game over their last month of the season. Certainly a capable team, and they know that they have to play better defense if they want to be one of the elites in this league.
Marbury misses the floater, and Chicago looking to push. Miller finds Rose, and Rose tries to lob it for Thomas. I think Ray Allen got back there and deflected it away.
Just threw it too low. He had Thomas for that lob. Just a poor pass there by Derrick Rose.
Now a steal by Tyrus Thomas.
Look out. Maybe not. That was kind of weak.
He didn't get up quite as high as he normally does, but it counts for 2. And look at the Bulls up by 4 midway through the second here in game 1.
Yeah, they look like they belong.
And again, Chicago looking to force the tempo, get up and down the floor as much as they can. Ray Allen misses the jumper. Rebound Heinrich. They're pushing it again. Salmon's all alone. Heinrich for 3. And Eddie House holds off Salmons for the rebound.
Well, that's a look that they want. Go ahead, push it up and down the floor. Salmons finds Kirk Heinrich for a walk-in three-point shot. Doesn't go down, but that's the Chicago Bulls. And the Chicago Bulls lead by 4 here early on in the second.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by Mercury. Introducing the new 2010 Mercury Milan and Milan Hybrid. And Gatorade Tiger. It's hydration for concentration, theanine, electrolytes, and low calorie.
Back here in Boston, the Celtics are trailing the Chicago Bulls by 4 right now. And a check of the NBA calendar shows us that ABC will bring you game 1 of the Pistons and Cavaliers beginning at 3 o'clock Eastern today. TNT has a triple header tomorrow. Philadelphia, Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, and New Orleans, Denver. All game 1s right there. But NBA TV on a Tuesday will bring you game 2 between Houston and Portland. Rajon Rondo back into the game, sat out the first 6:45 or thereabouts of the second quarter. Immediately finds Ray Allen, and Allen is now 0 for 5. JB. Salmon, Chicago forcing the issue again. They continue to get out quickly and get to the rim.
Well, that's why they have to either plus 11 now in fast break points, and they're plus 6 from the three-point line because, as you mentioned, Ray Allen yet to make a field goal.
And this is the Bulls' largest lead of the afternoon. Offensive foul, Kendrick Perkins. Number 2 on Perkins.
The Boston Celtics, the #1 three-point shooting team in the league. Percentage-wise this season, Chicago number 6. That's going to be a big factor in this series. Who can shoot the 3-ball well?
Boston has not made a 3 so far today. Salmons misses a baseline jumper, and back come the Celtics.
And Rondo finally back in the ball game.
Pierce still haven't made a 3. Out of bounds to Chicago. The Celtics are 0 for 5 from beyond the arc.
And they've all been good looks. You have Ray Allen wide open from there. You have Paul Pierce at the three-point line wide open. Obviously, you take those at all times. But Chicago dodging some bullets here. Boston getting all the looks that they really want.
It sounds cliche, JB, but for a young team like the Bulls, the longer they hang around, the more confident they become.
Sure, absolutely. Rondo back in the game, under the screen again, but they still cannot keep him out of the paint.
Here's spinning on Salmons. Still lots of time. Perkins over Noah. A little bit short. Rebound Noah. Joakim Noah is on his way to a potential double-double here in the first half. He's already got 8 points and 8 rebounds. Rose. Good help by Davis. Glenn Davis might have gotten poked in the eye. Now he and Heinrich go tumbling, and Glenn Davis called for the loose ball foul. And he is down and shaken up. Might have gotten poked in the eye prior to that collision with Heinrich.
Well, that's this great hustle here. Rondo's going to go to the floor. Kirk Heinrich now.
Wow.
Yeah, he gets upended by Big Baby Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to call that. Great hustle. But you can't just take a man out of the play as he just did right there.
Heinrich only giving up about 110 pounds in that matchup.
110.
Jordan. Noah. Shot clock at 4. Now 2. Does Rose realize it? He does. And hits it. Derrick Rose with 1 on the shot clock.
How about the Bulls with an 8-point lead here in the Garden? Derrick Rose, terrific basketball right now. 13 points, 5 assists.
Boston would love to get Ray Allen going right now. 2 points, 0 for 5 from the floor. Sneaks inside and drops in his first field goal on cue to make it a 6-point game.
Well, Dan, if you remember the playoffs last year, Ray Allen, dreadful in the Atlanta series, dreadful in the Cleveland series. He woke up against Detroit, and he was terrific in the finals, but they need him to go now. We don't have Kevin Garnett, Ray. They need you, baby. Let's go. 1 for 5 is not getting it done.
Well, off the top of the show, John Barry said he thought the key matchup in this series was at the point guard position. Rajon Rondo, third-year player, and rookie Derrick Rose, and they have both been outstanding here today.
Well, they have, and Derrick Rose in the open floor is as good as it gets. Great vision to find Noah for a lot. We saw another one later. Pick and roll, Rondo with a beautiful bounce to Kendrick Perkins, and the jump shot looking good for Derrick Rose. Not a great jump shooter, as is Rondo. Not very good, but he knocked down a couple. They've both been able to get to the basket, finishing. Derrick Rose is an explosive, strong, power, speed guy. He's been great on the break, and these two have been the difference. First-year guy and a third-year guy, they've been the difference makers in the game thus far.
And for the Boston Celtics, who find themselves trailing by 6, you look at the combined numbers of Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. They are 2 for 10 for a combined 8 points so far in this game.
So for the optimist, you say we're only down 6, right, and Ray and Paul really not a factor.
Then Gordon draws the foul. Foul will be on Glenn Davis. And look at the numbers for Pierce and Allen. Of course, the first thing you think about in the absence of Garnett is these two guys have to do even more than they did during the regular season.
Well, they do. And we talked about Ray Allen struggling last year in the first couple rounds of the playoffs. And, it won't last. These guys have been through struggles. They've been through great times. I expect them to be big factors come second half.
A miss by Gordon.
Rare.
Yeah, Chicago the best free throw shooting team of the NBA during the regular season, almost 80% as a team. If you look at Allen and Pierce and what they've done so far here today. 7-point lead for the Bulls, late stages first half.
With token pressure.
Good screen by Davis. And now Davis posting up on Gordon after the switch. Great help by Noah. Joakim Noah, an incredible first half. 8 points, 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal. You talked about how much he's improved over the course of the season.
He really has. Well, you just said good screen by Davis. How can you say a bad one at his size?
There he is screening Rose. Screener comes open, but a line drive jumper is short.
Now that's the shot. If I'm the Chicago Bulls, I wouldn't mind giving up all day long. Take it out of Ray Allen's hands. Take it out of Pierce's hands. If Big Baby, Mikey Moore, Leon Poe, and Perkins can beat you taking that shot, your hat's off to them. They're going to beat you.
Noah inside from Rose.
What a look. How about the confidence of this Chicago Bull team?
So Derrick Rose playing in his first ever NBA playoff game. All he's done is put up 13 points and 6 assists in the first half. Here's double team. Perkins has had some success against Noah. Help again, this time by Thomas. And finally, Davis will finish.
A great stick-to-itiveness there by Big Baby. But how about Thomas and Noah on the interior blocking everything in their sights?
Boy, what a difference for Thomas and Noah. How far they've come from earlier this season. Thomas step-back jumper. Again, that's not in the playbook. That's not the shot Vinny Del Negro wants to see.
Well, that's the one that he was taking the first 3-4 months of the season and that he's gotten away from. As Ray Allen misses the wide-open dunk.
Coming up at the half, the Toyota halftime show with Mark Jones, Jalen Rose, and Avery Johnson. Magic Johnson and the rest of the Countdown crew preview the Detroit-Cleveland series, and then Jalen and Avery on the Stars in the West. We are just getting you started. Cleveland and Detroit, of course, coming up on ABC and a doubleheader tonight on ESPN as well, with San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston, Portland still coming tonight. You're just at the very beginning of an outstanding day of NBA playoff action.
We got to swing the ball. Once we swing it and we attack, we get wide open shots. If you catch it and hold it, the rotation catches up. Don't catch it and hold it. Catch it and move it out if you don't have the shot.
I'm going to keep saying it, guys. Keep trusting the next pass. All right? They got us shooting quick. They're killing us on the other end. Keep trusting the next pass. All right? And we got to get back.
Yeah, they got to get it back because the Bulls are pushing the tempo.
Well, how about making some shots if you're Boston? 6 for 23 here in the second quarter, primarily because they're not getting it done in the paint. After 16 points in the paint in the first quarter, they just have 6 here in the second.
And Allen and Pierce now combined 2 of 11. Brad Miller. This could actually be worse for the Celtics. The Bulls have missed some open jumpers and some offensive rebounding opportunities where they've gotten the rebound but haven't been able to finish. This could be more than a 7-point game. Salmons after the turnover. And Chicago leads by 9.
Careless turnover, Paul Pierce. They just look out of sync offensively. I mean, Leon Poe being the go-to guy there for 4 or 5 straight possessions. Haven't seen Pierce at the top much. We just did there. He did turn it over, but they look out of sync here on the offensive end.
Second personal on Salmons. Foul to give, non-shooting foul to be Boston's ball. 34 seconds to go here in the half. Some looks of concern on the Boston Celtic bench. No Kevin Garnett. Doc Rivers says it is unlikely he will play at any point of the playoffs, no matter how deep they go. Although the further they go, he gives it a slightly better percentage. Nice penetration by Rondo, and he finds Davis.
Now that was terrific penetration. What a move. He brought the ball up over a defender, split 2 defenders to find a wide open Big Baby Davis for the finish.
Foul to give for Boston, about a 4.5-second difference between the game clock and shot clock for Derrick Rose, who's had a sensational first half, and the Chicago Bulls. Rose with a crossover. Miller kicks. And a 3-second call. ABC is your destination for the NBA playoffs tomorrow. It's Darren Williams and the Utah Jazz taking on Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers. The NBA playoffs on ABC tomorrow with 3 Eastern. Coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern with GMC NBA Countdown. Look at the brackets for the West. The Lakers, of course, the 1 seed easily won the conference. Utah, a lot of injuries this year, but still really struggled down the stretch. Did not play their best basketball down the stretch. They're the number 8 seed. I think I know your answer, but again, who do you think is a potential surprise team here in the Western Conference?
Well, I like Portland, but I'm going to keep my eyes on that Dallas-San Antonio matchup. I think Dallas has a great opportunity to go into San Antonio and win one of these first 2 games and win this series. They played terrific basketball down the stretch.
Biggest reason why Chicago's winning today?
That's a good question.
Biggest reason why Boston's losing.
No, I'll tell you,
better way to say it.
Derrick Rose has not played like a rookie point guard. He has had complete command of his game. He's passing the ball extremely well. He's knocked down jump shots. They're getting out on the break, and the Celtics, to me, offensively are out of sync. They don't know where to go with the basketball. And Chicago's athleticism really winning out right now.
5 seconds in the half. Chicago ball. Another Celtic turnover.
Chicago ball.
Eight turnovers committed by Boston in the first half, and the Bulls have turned those into 8 points.
Well, obviously a set play here with a handoff, but Kirk Heimer comes in, does a nice job behind Eddie House to knock it off of Rondo's leg, and let's see if that costs the Celtics here. 3.6, plenty of time for the Bulls to get a good look.
Rose to inbound with 3.6 to go. Gordon trailed by Allen. In and out. Miller all alone under the basket. Puts it back in. Nobody was within 5 feet of Brad Miller.
Well, I think the Celtics assumed the clock was just going to run out, but Miller had time to get the follow as Gordon thought he got clipped on the leg here. Ball goes in and out. In comes Miller uncontested. Plenty of time.
Wow.
Did that clock stop with 1.2? I don't know. We'll have to take a look at that.
Assuming it counts, it's a 9-point lead for Chicago at the half. Nancy Lieberman is with Derek Rose.
Well, thanks, Dan. Derek, the experts said before the game, whoever won the battle of controlling their basketball team, the tempo, would win this game. Tell me, how do you assess your matchup with Rondo?
Oh, it's real hard. He's a good player, leads the team, a good guy. He runs it. I'm just trying to stay focused, push the ball, and try not to turn over the ball because it's crucial in this time.
What did your team do defensively to limit Pierce and Allen to only 8 points?
Just help when we needed it. Help side stepped in when they was driving, and we were just playing team defense.
Okay, thank you. Dan.
All right, Nancy, thank you. They continue to review that last basket in case the clock stopped. For the moment, it's a 9-point lead for the Bulls. Coming up at the half, the Toyota Halftime Show with Mark Jones, Jalen Rose, and Avery Johnson. A look ahead to the Detroit-Cleveland series and all the rest of the action that's coming your way. Jalen and Avery will tell you about some of the stars to look for in the Western Conference as well. Here in the East, a surprising first half, despite a great half by Rajon Rondo. It's the Chicago Bulls who have the lead in Boston at halftime of Game 1. The Toyota Halftime Show comes your way after this timeout.
Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show.
And just think, a year ago, Rajon Rondo was perceived by some to be the quote-unquote weak link. Boy, what a difference a year makes. As Chicago, though, stunning Boston so far, leading by 9 points at the break. I'm Mark Jones, along with Jalen Rose and the coach Avery Johnson. Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show. A very surprising first 2 quarters of play, and I got to ask you first, who's faster, Rose or Rondo? What a great matchup at point guard.
Rose looked like he's faster right now. But again, in this series, it's all about the point guard matchup. You're talking about R and R, and I don't mean rest and relaxation. It's about Rondo and Rose. And it's about penetration. And here you see Rondo. He's a penetrator. He's not a three-point shooter. He's penetrating, but now Rose saying, what you can do, I can do better. And now here's Rose in transition. Leon Poole, and Kendrick Perkins, nobody picked them up. Okay, so again, Rose is going to try to push the ball back at Rondo in transition. And as you see, it's a dead heat for their production at halftime. But again, in this game, the Bulls are going to be able to get more people in double figures. Right now, Rondo is the only guy that's really scoring. Where's Paul Pierce? Where's Ray Allen, Jalen?
The Boston Celtics look like a team that actually has been there before, which is a bad thing. The Chicago Bulls look like a team that's excited to be in the playoffs. Derrick Rose is pushing the basketball. The Celtics have more turnovers than assists. Paul Pierce and Ray Allen combined 2 for 11. That can't happen. These guys must lead the Celtic charge. Look for them to come out and be aggressive in the second half.
Ray Allen off to another slow start in the playoffs like a season ago against the Atlanta Hawks in the first round. Meanwhile, the focus of the Toyota NBA Sports Nation is our games coming up later tonight on ESPN in the Western Conference. Great matchup between the San Antonio Spurs and the Dallas Mavericks. That starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. Dallas playing some of their best ball of the season so far. The second half of our doubleheader featuring Brandon Roy and the Portland Trailblazers taking on the Houston Rockets. Houston won the regular season series against Portland 2-1. And here's a look at the brackets in the Western Conference. Lakers and Jazz get underway tomorrow on ABC, the 1-8 matchup. Meanwhile, the Nuggets and Hornets, that a very intriguing matchup as well. Now let's talk about our breakout stars. Each playoff series every year seems to have one. Who do you like as yours?
Denver Nuggets, the number 2 seed. I'm taking Carmelo Anthony. We all talk about the 2003 draft, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. Both guys have played in the finals. One guy's won a championship. Melo hasn't been out of the first round. It's the start of the season suspended by the NBA. During the season was suspended by his coach. Came into the season with a new attitude, cut his hair, Now this is his stage, his time to shine, to really take this Denver Nuggets team to a next level. All eyes on Melo.
I'm going with LaMarcus Aldridge from the Portland Trail Blazers. During the regular season, he averaged 18 points a game, but against the Houston Rockets, he averaged 23. He's long, he's athletic, he can play the 4 position or the 5 position, and when he's running a pick and roll with Brandon Roy, their 2-time All-Star, that's a deadly pick and roll. Brandon Roy is going to make him look good, but it's also important for LaMarcus Aldridge to make Brandon Roy and the Trailblazers look good.
All right, a couple of breakout stars perhaps on the horizon. No J.R. Smith, no Rudy Fernandez. Well, we'll find out. Watch that later tonight on ESPN. Fans, remember, log on to ESPN.com, search Sports Nation, and let your voices be heard. Well, coming up on the other side, coming up on ABC in just a little bit, Magic Johnson, Michael Wilbon, and Stuart Scott will get you ready for the matchup between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons, a couple of familiar playoff foes. That's on the other side.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Welcome back to the Toyota Halftime Show.
Live draft coverage from the Green Room at Radio City Music Hall and all across the nation with all the teams and the players while they await the call of a lifetime. Matthew Stafford, Michael Crabtree, Mark Sanchez. Join me, Chris Berman, plus Mel Kiper and Todd McShay for our 30th year covering the draft. It all begins Saturday, April 25th at 11 a.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Well, if LeBron James is Batman, there's his Robin, Mo Williams, with all of 5 career playoff games. Cavs and Pistons coming up at 2:30. Right now to the Countdown Crew.
Hey, Jonesy, we will see you 2:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC GMC NBA Countdown as we get you set for Game 1 of LeBron and the Cavaliers against the Detroit Pistons. Mike Wilbon and the Hall of Famer Magic Johnson in the studio with me. Guys, for the first time in their history, the Cavaliers have the #1 record in the NBA in the regular season. But does that mean that going into the playoffs, they are the best team in the league right now?
Well, I feel that the Lakers are the most talented team.
I didn't say talented. I'm saying, are the Cavs the best team?
Well, I think that the Lakers are the most talented and the best team in basketball. And we'll get a chance to see this in the playoff come June, hopefully, this matchup between the Lakers and the Cavs.
Cavaliers are the best team in the Eastern Conference. But I don't
think that was my question, though.
But are the Lakers in the playoffs? Because the Lakers are defending Western Conference champions. The Lakers are a better team, Stuart, now than they were last year.
Okay, so why are the Lakers a better team now than the Cavaliers are now?
Because Bynum puts everybody back to their natural positions. Gasol gets to go play power forward. Lamar Odom now moves from a starter to 6-man. That makes the Laker bench so much stronger and better because Odom allows everybody else, Farmar, Vuacek, all them to play free and easy, and he allows them to get out into the break in the open court and get easy transition points.
But Cleveland has home court throughout the playoffs, which would mean if it's against the Lakers in the finals, 4 games in Cleveland, only 3 in L.A. if it goes 7. How does that affect your best team?
Can I jump in?
You can jump.
Absolutely, please
Michael,
do.
Just excuse me for 1 minute. Okay, let me set Stuart straight. If you're the best team in basketball, just like when I played, it doesn't matter who has home court. We only had home court a couple times when we won 5 NBA championships. Make no mistake about it. If you're the best team, you can go in on the opponent's home court and win a game. And the Lakers, to me, top to bottom, 1 through 12, is the best team in basketball. Now, will they prove that in June? We all have to wait and see.
But also keep in mind, the Lakers have already beaten Cleveland. The one legitimate defeat Cleveland had on its home court this year, who handed it to them? The Los Angeles Lakers. And as Irvin started talking about last year, Laker defense so much better with Andrew Bynum. Not only do people get to play their real positions, they get to play better defensively.
Mark Jones, I feel duly chastised. Just going to throw it back to you. Magic is setting me straight.
Hey, don't sweat it, Stu. Really, he ain't nothing. Hey, Derrick Rose, so much for the stage fright, guys. 13 points, 4 assists for the rookie in the first half. Second half coming up.
The Toyota Halftime Show is brought to you by Toyota, moving forward. Now it's time for the McDonald's I'm Lovin' It highlights. McDonald's Unlimited Highlights.
Back into Boston, the Celtics making their way back out onto the court for the second half. It did not go as planned for the guys in green in the first half. It's the young Chicago Bulls who have a 9-point lead on the Celtics. As we go to the second half, Derrick Rose and Joe Piminola in particular sensational for the Bulls in the first half. Contributions from a number of different players. Chicago leading by 9. Dan Schulman, John Barry, back with you here at TD Bank North Garden. We talked a lot about the absence of Kevin Garnett for the Boston Celtics. You would expect, if you're a Boston fan, guys like Pierce and Allen to raise their game to another level, as they have done so many times in the past. Didn't happen in the first half.
Well, it just hasn't. And I think that's been by design. Chicago's done a nice job defending these two. They've been letting Rondo and Perkins be the primary offensive threats for the Celtics. But you got to have these guys at some point be a factor. And Paul Pierce started out the game struggling. Good one-on-one defense. Ray Allen just dropping the ball. They played sluggish, turning the ball over. Ray Allen with a wide-open 8-foot jump shot that normally you know he knocks down. Couldn't do it. Miscommunication here. Turnover. And again, Ray Allen to the basket for an uncontested dunk. He can't knock that down. Block shots. Chicago, let's give them credit. They've been active on the defensive end. It's led to transition points for them. 53 at the break, up 9. Terrific start for the Chicago Bulls.
And for Pierce and Allen, just a combined 2 of 11 from the field in the first half. Just 8 points between them. Chicago leading 53-44. Game 1. And here in Boston, game 2 will be Monday night. And the NBA playoffs continue on ABC and ESPN today. On ABC at 3 Eastern, game 1 between the Pistons and the Cavaliers in high definition as well. And then tonight on ESPN and ESPN HD, a great doubleheader as we send you west. It'll be game 1 between Dallas and San Antonio, followed up by Houston out in Portland. A look at the East brackets. Cleveland and Detroit, as mentioned, starting on ABC. Not that far from now, Atlanta will take on Miami. Orlando, Philadelphia, and here it's Boston and Chicago. The Chicago Bulls have never won a playoff game against the Boston Celtics, much less a series. 0-3 all-time in series, 0-10 all-time in games. Let's find out some second half adjustments. Here's Nancy Lieberman.
Well, thank you, Dan. Doc Rivers was pretty animated in the locker room. He says, guys, we have got to play with fire and some passion, and we've got to stop taking quick shots. He was okay with how they played against Derrick Rose, but he expects more from this basketball team, no doubt.
Paul Pierce is going to get called for the foul underneath the basket. And last year, JB, they had a healthy Kevin Garnett. They had James Posey, P.J. Brown, Sam Cassell, a different-looking team to a certain extent, but they played with passion every second of every possession of every playoff game. Such a huge reason why Boston was able to win it all.
Well, that's the biggest thing you miss with Kevin Garnett. It's not the 18 points, 10 rebounds. He's not on the bench here to start the second half. He was there for the first half. Derrick Rose with a nice off-balance leaner knocks that in. But Kevin Garnett brings more than numbers to this team. He is the emotional leader of this team. And particularly defensively, he's the anchor to that defense. And Chicago's basically shredded them. Derrick Rose in particular in the paint.
Great move inside. Pierce got 3 Chicago defenders up in the air. First field goal for Pierce since 9-10 left in the first quarter. Gordon double teamed down on the perimeter. Shot clock at 7. Gordon with a switch. Jumper over Davis. Rebound Perkins. Rondo, nice look ahead. And Thomas wraps up his good buddy Glenn Davis.
You know, those are things that just shouldn't happen in the playoffs. I mean, we've seen too many plays of guys going coast to coast with no one stopping the basketball. They're just a simple leak out by Big Baby Davis.
This is pregame. Kevin Garnett for the first time out on the bench. When he was injured during the regular season, spent all the time in the locker room. He was out there giving some thoughts to Paul Pierce and others. But as we go to the second half, Kevin Garnett has not reappeared on the bench.
You know what, Dan? I think it's so difficult for him to sit and watch his team that he is just going nuts over there. And I wouldn't be surprised if he just said, look, Doc, I can't handle this. I cannot sit here and watch my team particularly struggle here in the first round against a Bulls team that they should beat I just think it's too tough for him to sit here and watch.
Doc Rivers told us before the game that about a week ago, they had legitimate hopes that Kevin Garnett would be able to return for the playoffs, but to quote Doc, it took a turn for the worse. They watched him run up and down the court a couple of days ago. And right now, Doc Rivers estimates maybe a 1% chance he'll return at some point if they get very deep into the playoffs. Doc said maybe up to a 5% chance, but at least publicly, the Celtics are portraying this as if they will not have Kevin Garnett at any time.
Well, I think you have to do that. You can't have a team hoping that a guy comes back. If you say, hey, he might play the next game, as we got 1 second here, Noah's going to throw up something called a jump shot.
You Berries are so critical of other people's form.
It's not a pretty jump shot.
No.
Much improved player, though. You know that.
Pierce. Paul Pierce getting it going here in the second half. Thomas inside and a Chicago turnover. Rondo. Rebound Rose. Chicago led by as many as 11 just moments ago. It's down to 4. Back up to 6. Another tough runner from Derrick Rose.
First playoff game, huh?
Yeah, that's the rumor.
That is, that's a heck of a shot there. The crowd's getting into the game. Derrick Rose is an unflappable guy. I love his demeanor. You never know if you're down 20, up 20. He plays the same way whenever he's out on the basketball court.
Allen still can't find the range, but it's off Thomas. Back to the Celtics as we check in with Nancy Lieberman with more on Kevin Garnett.
Well, thanks, Dan. I checked on where Kevin Garnett was. I was told he's still in the locker room. He's more comfortable watching the game on TV in the Celtics locker room. It's a little antsy for him to be on the bench and not be involved. I know his teammates want him. He gave them a half. I don't know if he can give them another, guys.
So he's not here. The rest of the Celtic bench, healthy and injured players alike, they're all standing right now. You can see Brian Scalabrine to the right of your screen in street clothes, and the rest of the bench players for the Celtics. They seem to realize the importance and intensity of the moment right now. Rush 24 after the foul, and it'll be Boston ball. Rondo, look away, off to Perkins, beautiful. We're going to be watching these 2 point guards play in this league for a long, long time.
You're absolutely right, Dan. And Rajon Rondo is so deceptive with his ball fakes. Oh, that was just a terrific pass.
Tyrus Thomas. The 10-footer is good for Thomas.
I don't mind that shot. He got to inside the paint. He's athletic enough to get to where he wants to. As Paul Pierce said, enough of this first half. I'm going to be a factor. A couple quick threes here to start the third quarter.
After Boston did not make a 3 in the first half. Derrick Rose again.
Is that 19?
That is 19.
Derrick Rose to go with 7 assists.
And 27 minutes in his first ever NBA playoff game. Rondo using the screen, gets into the paint. Way too easy.
Again, Chicago going under the screen and roll and not getting to Rondo before he gets to the paint. You have to meet him outside the paint as Rose answers the bell again. Oh, man.
Crossover, drives right by Rondo, one of the quickest point guards in the NBA, and lays it in with the left hand. Rose with 21.
Good night. Here's the ISO that Boston loves. Top of the key, very difficult to double team Pierce. His big baby knocks down to Jay. And after a slow start offensively for Boston, they're cranking it up here in the third. Got to get some stops on the other end, though.
Rose again using the screen and again knocking it down. This is something else.
Is this the Memphis Tigers versus someone in that conference? I don't even know who's in that conference. But he looks like a kid That is the man.
Rondo the miss. Throw it at UTEP or Houston or something like that.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the Conference USA.
Now, what do you do if you're Boston? Now Rondo tries to chase around the top of the screen, but then you're risking Rose getting to the rim easily. Thomas, no. Rebound, Perkins.
Well, I think you're going to have to see Boston change the coverage, as will Chicago.
Pierce over Salmons. Chicago ball. Looking to push as they did so much in the first half. Salmons, yes. Good job by Tyrus Thomas to lead the break.
Now, these are possessions that you just don't see in the playoffs. That is just a simple missed shot, break, layup. You can't allow that to happen in the playoffs. I'm surprised the Boston Celtics are allowing this to happen.
Fast break points, JB, 17-4, Chicago. Perkins blocked by Thomas. Shot clock never reset. Never reset. And Perkins knocks it down, and the only reason he knew he even had to shoot is he turned back and Rondo told him he had to shoot. Ben Gordon is fouled.
Well, has this heated up a little bit, Dan?
Game on.
Wow. The point guards, they were the difference in the first half, and they haven't disappointed here in the second. Rondo and Rose just putting on a show. Rondo pick and roll again under the screen, all the way to the rim with a beautiful finger roll over Noah. And Derrick Rose with a beautiful cross and finish with the left. Answering the bell. Any run the Celtics make, Rose says, I can do better. Bulls by 5.
Mark Jones with his Taco Bell studio update coming up in just a few moments. LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers defending their home court in the playoffs against the Detroit Pistons. LeBron, perhaps the league's MVP. You can catch the action over on GMC NBA Countdown on ABC in about 20 minutes at 2:30. Dan, back to you.
All right, Jonesy, thank you. 66 wins for the Cavs. Home court advantage all through the playoffs. LeBron James, I think most people would say, with the numbers and the improvement on defense, the best season he's had in the league.
Oh, I think no question. He's probably going to win the MVP. You see all the personal ranks low in minutes. That's a good thing because he hasn't played a lot of fourth quarters because Cleveland's been so dominant, particularly at home. But LeBron James, just have never seen anything like a guy like this at 270 pounds. His ability to take the ball to the basket, just an absolute freight train. And obviously a terrific season for the Cleveland Cavs. But the story here is Derrick Rose. About 23 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 7 assists, just 2 turnovers.
And in the interview he had with Nancy Lieberman at the end of the first half, he's so humble. He talks about Rondo's such a good player. I've got to do this. I need to do this. He never pats himself on the back. He never pounds his chest. He just keeps working and getting better. Gordon. Noah knocked away by Ray Allen. But it'll stay with the Bulls.
Noah doing a great job as well. Thomas, they've really controlled the paint since early on the first quarter when Kendrick Perkins had his way. He was 4 for 4 in the paint to start this game out. And since then, Boston had a very difficult time getting into the paint.
You heard some of the Celtics folks talking about the Bulls saying, they might be too young to really know what they're getting themselves into. Not to realize there's pressure. Because they have played free and easy since this game began. Rondo stays in bounds. Driving it, Rose lays it in. Rose runs into Allen and is called for the offensive foul. Rose didn't know he was there, and Rose is limping. At some point, defending the Rondo layup, Rose grimaced and is now limping and reached down and briefly was holding his right knee. We'll have to get another look.
Well, let's just hope he banged knees as we see the play. Rose not looking. Ray Allen sneaks in. I don't know about the call. You have to give a guy time to be able to avoid the contact. But nonetheless, Boston's ball.
Rondo, Big Baby is fouled. Noah didn't like the call. The Chicago bench explodes after that call.
Chicago hey. Well, let's see what happens here. Big Baby coming in for the big dunk, and Noah coming over. And that is all basketball right there. Noah with a nice play. No question about it. That was all ball. That should not have been a foul.
Break for the Celtics. Davis to the line.
Two tough calls here going against the Bulls. How are they going to react? Boston with a chance to get within one. And this is what Vinny Del Negro talked about before the game was, I just want to see how we react when we get punched in the mouth. Are we going to answer by trying to do it offensively, or are we going to dig down and play defensively to get back in the game or whatever the situation might be? So we're going to find out here. Boston's made a nice run here to get back within two.
Rose always in control. Finds Noah. Salmon's on the drive. Lost it. It'll stay with Chicago with 4 to shoot. And now the Boston bench is unhappy, thinking that ball should have belonged to them.
Well, Bennett Salvatore in the middle of 3 big calls here on the last 3 possessions as the Boston faithful just saw the replay, and it was clearly Boston's basketball.
Chicago turns it over. 3-on-2 Celtics. 4-on-2. Pierce for 3. That would have given them the lead. It might have shot the roof right off this building.
Exactly.
Salmon's quick trigger.
Well, I know this team wants to get up and down and run, Dan, but right now, as Boston's making a little run, that's probably a shot Vinny Del Negro didn't have in his mind.
Bulls have now missed their last 6 threes. Chicago has led most of the game, led by as many as 11 earlier this quarter. Salmons has had the matchup with Pierce most of the afternoon. Good help by Noah. Shot clock at 3. Rondo for 3.
Here comes the crowd, Dan. Boston finally gets themselves a lead.
But they don't hold on to it for very long. Thomas again getting it a little bit closer. A 10-footer, and he knocks it down. That short-lived lead for the Celtics was their first since early in the second quarter. Heinrich and Miller getting ready to check in for the Bulls. One-on-one, Pierce and Salmons. Step back jumper. And a collective groan from the crowd here in Boston. Rose around Perkins. Rondo recovers. Rose again. Tapped up and off the rim by Noah. Boston ball. Rondo was waiting for the whistle that didn't come, so he forced it up trying to make it a shooting foul, but there was no call. We got a good one going here in Boston. The point guards have been outstanding. The Bulls lead by 1.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs. Brought to you by Popeyes. Welcome to Louisiana Fast.
The Chicago Bulls care about the community. The Bulls, led by rookie Derrick Rose, recently helped hundreds of local students set a Guinness World Record for the world's largest assist. The group's successful endeavor showed that with teamwork, anything is possible, especially when a 6'11" guy helps you up to the rim. The NBA, where caring happens. Well, we have seen 8 assists from Derrick Rose so far today, not to mention 23 points. That's not the real Ray Allen. Ray Allen doing his thing, but struggling today. Derrick Rose is not struggling. He has been off the charts. Kirk Heinrich hit along with Brad Miller now for Chicago. Salmons. A rebound, Rondo. Rondo's been no slouch himself with 19 points, 5 assists, and 5 boards.
Well, I think if you're Boston, you look at the positives. Ray Allen just 1 of 8, 4 points, and yet you're in a 1-point ball game.
Allen around the screen. The kick, wide open, Glenn Davis. That's becoming an important part of the Celtics offense. Remember, Davis is getting a lot of the minutes that Kevin Garnett would normally have.
And that's the shot that Kevin Garnett would normally have. He sets the pick. Off comes Ray Allen. And Davies able to knock it down as we get another turnover. 12 now for the Bulls.
Allen again around the screen, and he's bumped.
Now, I mentioned earlier about Vinny Del Negro talking about how are we going to react when we get punched in the mouth. And championship teams react by playing great defense and getting stop after stop after stop. This Chicago Bulls team is not that type of team. The Boston Celtics, that is the type of team they are. I know Kevin Garnett inside here, but they are certainly more capable of stopping you on one end to stop a run and get themselves back into ball games.
Eddie House in for Ray Allen. Shot clock at 5. Ball in the hands of Rondo. Jumper over Heinrich. No good. Rebound Bulls. Salmons, and Pierce forces another turnover. John Salmons struggling at times today. He does have 10 points. He's got to put up 38 on the Celtics in a game in Chicago last month.
You talk about defense. The Bulls with just 16 points here in the quarter with over a minute to go. And after scoring 28 and 25 in the first 2 quarters of the ball game. So Boston clearly picking it up on the defensive end.
Davis, not this time. And the rebound to Ben Gordon. Gordon, a guy who offensively can take over a game at any point, but he has not had a big day so far. Ben Gordon just 2 for 7, 8 points. He's their leading scorer, better than 20 a game. Miller trying to find him, but he can't. Good defense here by the Celtics. Salmons over Pierce. Rebound Rondo. Rondo stripped by Heinrich, but Pierce gets it back. Davis back to Pierce. Shot clock at 4. Partially blocked by Salmons. Here come the Bulls. And Heinrich, the late whistle and the foul on Glenn Davis.
I think the play was so good for about 4 minutes stretch that now it's a sigh of poor basketball right now as John Salmons continues to struggle, just 5 of 14. I think he's feeling the effects of the groin. Chicago having major difficulty scoring the basketball in the last 4 minutes of this third quarter.
The foul on Glenn Davis is 4th. He's the first player in the game on either side to pick up 4, and he'll sit down as Leon Poe comes back in. Tony Allen will check in as well. Davis and Poe have combined for 19 points and 6 rebounds today. Joe Caminoa out. Derrick Rose back in. Chicago going smaller and with a better offensive lineup here as they control the last 15 seconds of the quarter. Now here comes Ray Allen. Getting ready for like the Bruins and Canadians. They're changing wholesale changes, as we say.
Or North Carolina Tar Heel.
Yeah, that's true. Here's Rose. And a push on Rondo. And that'll send Derrick Rose to the line. More NBA playoff action coming your way. It's on ABC. Game 1 between Detroit and Cleveland. It begins at the top of the hour, 3 o'clock Eastern time. A triple header on TNT tonight. Philly, Orlando, Miami, Atlanta, and then New Orleans, Denver. And game 2 Tuesday night of Houston and Portland on NBA TV.
Well, that play right there. Nothing good happens when you do not force the offensive player over a screen. That time Rose went away from the screen, and Rondo winds up getting a ticky-tack hand check call. But you've got to force the offensive player over the screen. It completely breaks down your defense when you allow that offensive player to go the other way.
JB, with everything else that Derrick Rose has done in this game, he hasn't missed a free throw. Should be 8 of 13 field goals, 8 of 8 free throws. I mean, if he were a 10-year veteran, you'd be sitting here saying, man, what a game Derrick Rose is having. This is his first ever playoff game. Rondo. Is it a goaltend? It sure is. Count it. Thomas doesn't think so. Now, you were rarely up that high, so I know you don't really have the perspective to give us on that kind of a play.
You got to get your dig in.
Boston closes the quarter on a 12-4 run. And despite the best efforts of Derrick Rose, the Celtics have reclaimed the lead. They're up 1 going to the 4th.
Welcome back to Boston. Doc Rivers, were you surprised that your team didn't come out with the energy that you had hoped for in the first half?
Yeah, I was. I just thought they played harder. I thought the Bulls deserved the lead in the first half. And I think in the third quarter, we've now played hard and we have the lead.
The coverage on Derrick Rose, will it change since he's been getting to the rim and hitting jumpers?
No, we just got to improve our coverage. You know, I think the coverage is right. Our execution of our coverage is awful.
Okay, thank you very much. Dan?
All right, Nancy, thank you very much. Well, Derrick Rose has had his way with the Boston Celtics. 25 points and 8 assists today for Rose. Paul Pierce will start the 4th on the bench. Derrick Rose is in the game. Ray Allen just 1 of 8, 4 points. Ben Gordon for the Bulls just 2 of 7, 8 points. You're talking about 2 gifted offensive players, neither of whom has been able to get untracked. And as is the case right now, generally they have been covering each other.
Well, I think Ray Allen is going to have to be a factor in this 4th quarter if Boston wants to get out of here with a Game 1 victory. And if you remember, he struggled mightily last year in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And he got it going in round 3 against the Detroit Pistons. He's had some success against Chicago here in the regular season. He averaged 18 a game, 48%, great field goal percentage, 41 from 3. 0 for 3 from the three-point line. Ray has got to be a factor, especially in the absence of Kevin Garnett. They cannot afford Ray Allen to play poor basketball if they want to advance in this year's playoffs.
What a great recovery by Rose to come up with a loose ball. Then it is kicked by Perkins. And Perkins is saying he dribbled it off my foot. But Chicago will get it back, and they'll reset the shot clock to 14. And Perkins didn't kick at it. Rose did bounce it down off Perkins' foot. He's got a case. In 4.5 minutes since the Bulls made a field goal. Got a good look here. Miller doesn't get the bounce. Offensive rebound. Rose, yes! 27.
What a finish that was. Half skyhook off balance over the outstretched Kendrick Perkins. Derrick Rose.
He's 20 years old.
I wish I could have got to see him play more this season in person. This guy is incredible.
Allen over Gordon. 1 of 9. Both teams small right now. 3 guard looks. A lot of shooters. Rose. Boston ball. Here comes Pierce.
Well, Boston's been or Chicago rather, has been the aggressor. We're going to see here, Joakim Noah just get a finger on this ball to keep it alive. Rose the beneficiary and a beautiful finish. You know, Boston, the number 2 rebounding team in the league. And Chicago up 4 rebounds on here.
Poe won't take the shot. Dribbles into the defense and a reach-in foul on Joakim Noah. Number 2 on Noah. Glenn Davis will come back in for the Celtics. And Perkins will check out.
Well, there's the difference of Leon Poe versus Kevin Garnett. They're not going to leave Kevin Garnett wide open at 17 feet. That's a shot that he knocks down in his sleep. But there, a silly foul by Noah. Don't get early fouls. Get Boston into the penalty early here in the 4th. Keep them off the free throw line. Don't give them easy points.
Heinrich defending Pierce right now. Long jumper, not good for Pierce. Heinrich is a terrific defender, but he's 6 inches shorter and about 40 pounds lighter than Paul Pierce. And there's a burst of speed by Ben Gordon. Here's Paul Pierce talking about some of the things the Celtics are going through.
Regardless of any kind of adversity we go through, we got to stay together. And that's kind of what's going on with the adversity, with not having Kevin, with the things happening with Danny. Everybody is against us. So we just got to understand, hey, you know, we're the champions. And until somebody knocks us off, that's what it's got to be.
Danny, of course, Danny Ainge, the general manager of the Celtics, who suffered what has been termed a mild heart attack 2 days ago, still resting at Mass General Hospital here in Boston. Chicago leading by 2. So no Garnett. Thinking about Danny Ainge. Ray Allen struggling. And they're getting all they can handle from the Chicago Bulls. Let's go to Nancy Lieberman.
Well, thanks, Dan. I talked to Doc Rivers. He said Kevin Garnett opted to stay in the locker room for the second half because he did not want to be a distraction to his teammates. Even though his teammates would rather have him on the bench, you can understand where KG just has so much anxiety. He felt it would be the best place for him. Dan?
All right, Nancy, thank you. So KG not out here in the second half. Another rebound for Noah. That is his 12th. Heinrich. Gordon steps in, rattles out. Boy, the UConn guys, Ray Allen and Ben Gordon, are having some tough shooting luck here today.
I was just thinking of that. Something in the UConn water as Noah with a beautiful block on Big Baby Davis.
His third. Rose looking for help. Doc Rivers screaming for a travel. Gordon inside, misses the floater. Man, they are getting after it right now.
Bodies flying everywhere.
Eddie House. It's all tied up again here in Boston.
How about the hard work by the Chicago Bulls? Noah, give me that Big Baby Davis. But Eddie House on the other end. And Dan, the playoffs have officially begun. Bodies on the floor. It's on, baby. Who's going to win it all?
Rasheed Wallace of the Detroit Pistons. He's been in the playoffs now for 13 consecutive years. But he's coming off a leg injury. The question begs, how much does he have left? Find out next. The Pistons take on the Cavs on ABC at 3.
And back here in Boston, inside TD Bank North Garden, part of such a big sports weekend for Boston fans. The Celtics playing game 1 this afternoon. How about a couple of nights ago, Zdeno Chara, who has the hardest slap shot in the NHL with a game-winning goal. Boston beats Montreal in a game 1. They'll play game 2 tonight here. The Red Sox are playing the Baltimore Orioles tonight and again tomorrow. And the Boston Marathon happens on Monday. The Red Sox overcame a 7-0 deficit against Baltimore to win 10-8 last night. This is some kind of a weekend. How do you decide what you're going to go to? How do you split yourself 3 different ways to see all the great sporting events that are going on in Boston here in the next couple of days?
Well, you do the Celtics today, you go to the Bruins tonight, you go to the Red Sox on Monday.
But you're
got it all covered.
But you're in training for the marathon, I thought, for Monday, you told me.
Well, I can run and still make the game.
Listen to the noise. Heinrich. Marbury into the game, comes down with a rebound. We are tied at 75 here in the 4th quarter of game 1. A game Chicago led by as many as 11.
Surprising, dismal three-point shooting. Chicago 2 of 12. They're number 6 in the league. The Boston Celtics number 1 in the league. They're 4 of 13. Wow.
Davis tumbles. House has it. 1 to shoot. Chicago ball. Here comes John Salmons. There have been 9 ties and 16 lead changes in this game today. So here comes Rose, and how about some important minutes for Marbury trying to defend Derrick Rose, who's been unstoppable for most of the game.
They're important, but they're not going to be very long. Rajon Rondo's got to get back in this basketball game. His big baby picks up his 5th. A free ball here, and you know, I just don't like the call. I mean, that's a free basketball, 2 guys going after it. There's no possession there by Brad Miller.
Sometimes just because you're the
defensive player
or the bigger guy.
Right.
The other guy goes flying.
Right, that's a free ball.
Yeah. Davis out, Kendrick Perkins in. Brad Miller, good call. Definitely pushed off. With Salmons returning, he's on Paul Pierce right now. Kirk Heinrich had him for a couple of possessions. Heinrich is now on Eddie House. Pierce driving, laying it in. Derrick Rose all the way.
What an explosion. That's after a Celtic layup. Derrick Rose, coast to coast, no one in front of him. That is unacceptable. Doc Rivers is hot on his defensive Boston Celtic. That cannot happen.
29 for Rose in his playoff debut. Poe, rebound Miller.
How about the job Miller and Noah have done on the boards?
Noah's got 14, Miller's got 10.
Oh my goodness.
He is out of this world.
He is out of this world today. This is, what a tough shot. Another crossover away from a pick and roll. He gets undercut. A semi-jump hook going out of bounds. Derrick Rose has been nothing short of sensational today. First game of the playoffs?
That's what they're telling us. Sure doesn't look like it.
Hasn't missed a free throw?
Nope.
8 assists.
How about he has scored more points today than he scored in any regular season game?
Is that right? Wow.
Welcome to the playoffs, Derrick Rose.
Look, you're not even respecting Stephon Marbury to shoot the basketball. A simple, wide-open three-point shot.
Up baseline drive by Poe. Coming back, just his third game back from a knee injury. Rondo and Allen getting ready to check back in for the Celtics. Rose to Miller. Blocked by Perkins. Marbury. And he turns it over. Salmon sniffed it out. Miller throws it away. House gets it back. Chicago ball. What a game.
This is unbelievable. And look. Oh, that could be a flagrant there. That could be a flagrant foul.
They're going to talk it over.
I think we're going to get a flagrant here. No. That's about as hard as a foul that you're going to get without getting a flagrant. Again, the Celtics, terrible transition defense as Poe comes over. You know, he does make a play on the ball. Knocks down Noah hard. That's just a tough playoff foul. The Chicago Bulls hanging in.
Noah.
Mark Jones back in the studio, less than 20 minutes away from the opening tip between the Cleveland Cavaliers, the NBA's best team, and the Detroit Pistons. That game over on ABC. LeBron's been on the cover of GQ, hosted ESPYs, but Dan Shulman still looking for that NBA title.
Well, this could be the year. Sensational regular season for the Cavaliers, the #1 seed going into the playoffs. How about Derrick Rose, the #1 rookie, most would agree, in the NBA this year, and he has taken his game up a notch here in the playoffs, JB.
Well, he's done it on the break in transition. He's got 8 assists. He's found Noah on numerous occasions, and his ability to get to the basket and finish with such power and strength with either hand over big guys. He's knocked down some jump shots as well. I don't know that you can play much better in your first playoff game than what we've seen out of Derrick Rose, and we still have half of the fourth quarter to go. What are his numbers going to be at the end of this thing?
Again, 32 points is a career high. The most he scored in any regular season game this year was 27. It'll be Rose, Heinrich, Salmons, Miller, and Noah at the free throw line for Chicago. For Boston, Perkins, Poe, Pierce, Allen, and Rondo.
Well, let's reiterate that the officials made the right call there. That was just a hard playoff foul. Leon Poe clearly going after the basketball. He made a play on the ball, knocked him down. That's playoff basketball. And a good guy to foul.
Noah, not a pretty shot to say the least. 68% though, not terrible. from the line. 1 of 2. Chicago spends a lot of time working on their free throw shooting. Again, #1 in the NBA during the regular season. And Noah, as ugly as it looks, has actually improved. And there are guys shooting a whole lot worse at 68%. Rondo probing, finds Perkins. Another rebound for Miller.
This is interesting to me because Boston, because of the struggles of Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, they're not even going to him. That's just a straight Rondo pick and roll. Rondo is the primary guy to score as Salmons continues to struggle, just 5 of 15 now from the field.
So some of the big scores, Pierce and Allen, Salmons and Gordon, way below their season averages today.
No, it's been the other guys. It's been the point guards. It's been Noah. It's been Miller on the glass for the Bulls. And that's why they're in this game with an excellent opportunity to win.
Pierce, no, and Noah with a push in the back.
Unnecessary foul.
The NBA playoffs continue on ABC and ESPN today. At the top of the hour, it'll be game 1 between the Pistons and the Cavaliers on ABC. And then a doubleheader tonight. It begins at 8. The Dallas Mavericks, who closed the season very well, taking on the San Antonio Spurs. And then at 10:30 Eastern, it'll be Rockets and the Trailblazers. The tip of the Detroit-Cleveland game at 3:04 Eastern time, to be exact. And that is on ABC. Back into the game with 5 fouls. Big Baby. That was number 3 on Noah. Rondo, they've got mismatches here after the switch, so Rondo will take the jumper.
Don't even think about guarding him from a top-of-the-key jump shot. And you want to take that shot in rhythm. It becomes a more difficult shot the longer you turn it down. Just go ahead and take that shot in rhythm. Rondo's already made a 3 today. He shot the ball pretty well. Go ahead and shoot it in rhythm.
Gordon.
He's not going to stay down for long. He's not staying down for long, Dan. Once a shooter, always a shooter. And he's not going to be hesitant, that's for sure.
First field goal since the first quarter for Ben Gordon. And Chicago's up by 5. Pierce slithers by Miller and lays it in. 16 for Pierce.
Well, finally, Boston able to get a field goal. They're 4 of 15 here in the 4th quarter.
Several times the Celtics have made a run. The crowd's gone crazy, and the young Bulls continue to respond. Miller from the baseline. Pierce the rebound.
Well, Brad's got some good looks today, unable to knock it down as we see Rondo back on the break. Oh, what a finish. Is this Chris Paul versus Chauncey Billups or Parker and Kidd? Oh, my goodness.
A turnover, and it's Pierce. Uncontested. Boston leads.
Well, it's been all about the point guards today. Rondo with the beautiful one-hand finish over Derrick Rose. Rondo been the stars thus far for Boston as they come back and take the lead. Woo! It's going to be a great finish.
Coming up shortly on ABC from Cleveland, the Cavaliers begin their playoff ride, one they hope will end in a championship. The team with the best record in the NBA, the team with LeBron James, open up their postseason against the Detroit Pistons. Game 1 coming up shortly on ABC.
A 1-point lead for the Celtics, 3:25 to go. Derrick Rose, Rajon Rondo, the point guards having outstanding games. Let's go to Nancy Lieberman.
Thanks, Dan. I was in Vinny Del Negro's huddle. He was drawing up plays, but he kept looking at his guys saying, fellas, it's all about spacing for us and about making sure we get back and defend. It was very simple, but very concise on what they need to do. I'm also looking at Vinny Del Negro's dad, who could not sit in the stands. He is courtside at the end of the bench. That's how nervous a dad gets for these games.
His dad, Vin, it's a Massachusetts family, a bunch of Celtics fans. Vinny grew up rooting for the Celtics. He played with Doc Rivers and played with a number of people affiliated with the Celtics organization. It'll be Chicago ball, 12 to shoot, but the Del Negro family hoping to pull off an upset here in Boston in Game 1.
Well, Dan, regardless of what happens here in the last 3-12, the Chicago Bulls now believe that they can win this series. Not hang with the Boston Celtics. They can win this series.
Miller blocked by Perkins. Boston ball. And a push. A foul on Salmons.
Just the third on the Chicago Bulls. No free throws yet.
Third personal on Salmons as well. These two teams have met 3 previous times in the playoffs, and Chicago's never even won a game.
Not even when Jordan had 63 in the old Garden?
Right.
Come on, Dan.
That was in '86, a double overtime loss for the Bulls against the Celtics.
They're going to win a game in this series. I can tell you that.
Rondo. And Rondo fouled by Rose. Boy, the son is the coach, but the dad, I mean, the dad is as into it as anybody. Rondo to the line. For a guy 6'1" and 170 pounds, Rondo is phenomenal on the glass.
Well, he's got such long arms, great leaping ability, and his anticipation. That's the big part of rebounding. By that time, he misses his first attempt and goes right back up, goes for the tip, and gets hit. Again, the Chicago Bulls getting crushed on the Rondo pick and roll because they're going underneath the screen, and they're unable to meet Rondo before he gets all the way to the basket.
2 big free throws for Rondo. 8-0 run for the Celtics. Gordon.
Tough shot.
Rondo with Allen. And a trailer in Perkins. Allen for 3.
Well, those are the ones you think he's going to make. He's 1 for 9 before that, and that would have been a possible dagger, but no. Back comes Gordon. Foot on the line.
Ben Gordon can be lethal and can just fill it up with anybody in the NBA when he gets going. He brings the Bulls back within 1, 2:25 to go. ABC is your destination for the NBA playoffs tomorrow. It'll be the Utah Jazz and the Los Angeles Lakers in a Game 1 of that series. It begins on ABC tomorrow at 3 Eastern, and coverage begins at 2:30 Eastern with GMC NBA Countdown, of which John Barry is going to be a part to make the quick trip from Boston back to headquarters in Bristol, Connecticut for the ABC studio show tomorrow. A look at the Western Conference matchups. Let's talk about a series not a lot of people are talking about, Denver and New Orleans. I mean, if you can finish second in a conference quietly, Denver did it. How good are the Nuggets?
I think they're very good. I think people are still caught up with the fact that they might play that wild style, up and down, no defense. But Chauncey Billups' arrival there has made all the difference in the world of this team. He holds his team accountable for their defense. He gets some good shots. They take better shots as a team. J.R. Smith's been on fire from the three-point line. They've got Nene. They've got Kenyon Martin. They're stacked. Carmelo Anthony. I like them to get through. I just don't think New Orleans has the depth.
What are the Hornets missing from a year ago when they had such a great season?
Well, Chandler. You know, Chandler's missed almost 40 ball games this year. Last year he played. He only missed 3 ball games. Stojakovic in and out of the lineup. James Posey's come along for their bench. But other than Posey off the bench, they just don't have a whole lot. And I just think Denver too strong for them.
Well, Boston has gotten everything they can handle from Chicago. The crowd is in a frenzy here in Game 1 at TD Bank North Garden. In a game that has been back and forth the entire afternoon. The point guards dominating at times today. Derrick Rose with 32. Rajon Rondo with 25. Rose with 8 assists. Rondo with 7.
How about Rondo with 0 turnovers?
And Derrick Rose, that's really the only flaw in his game today. He's turned it over 5 times, and one of them was the big one.
Yeah.
That led to that
easy Paul Pierce. Well, how about the three-point shooting? You're talking about Boston at number 1 in the league. They're 4 of 15. Chicago, number 6 in the league. They're 3 for 15. 7 of 30 from the three-point line today.
Heinrich on Pierce. Selman's not in the game right now. Pierce finds Davis, who's fouled.
Smart foul, Derrick Rose, but how about Paul Pierce with a beautiful split of the double team, up for the jump shot, makes a beautiful pass down to Big Baby. Look at this split of the double team. As Tyrese Thomas comes out for the help, he finds Big Baby for the easy opportunity, and he gets fouled.
So here's Glenn Davis, such a big factor this year compared to last year. Even before the Garnett injury, but obviously even more so since the Garnett injury. Big Baby said of Garnett yesterday, he said, he's the big ticket. He said, I'm just the ticket stub. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, that's good.
1 of 2. Noah, his 15th rebound.
Now where do the Bulls go here? It should be pick and roll, Derrick Rose or Ben Gordon coming off triple doubles. Coming off the screen, there he is.
Perkins closes on him in a hurry. Gordon, fade away over Ray Allen, and one. Boy, once Ben Gordon gets going, good luck.
Well, he doesn't have it going. It's good luck anyway, because this guy will take any shot at any time, and this is just a beautiful inside-out, step-back, fade-away J. Ray Allen getting him on the arm. Gordon able to finish, in the Bulls with a potential 1-point lead with under 2 to go in the Garden.
Ben Gordon with 10 fourth-quarter points, 18 in the game.
Weren't we just talking about how bad he had been throughout the game? That's what makes great players. It doesn't matter what might transpire in the first 3 quarters of the game. It's fourth quarter and winning time, and here's Ben Gordon being a factor.
Heinrich,
look at the steal.
Heinrich knocks it away from Pierce. What a great defensive play. Thomas. Oh, boy. He is, oh, boy. I know what you're thinking.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
I love it. Great play.
Vinny Del Negro saying, just give the ball to Derrick Rose. And then Thomas, maybe not the best decision, but in hindsight, it all worked out for him. And Chicago now leads by 3.
Hey, he's one of the top 10 athletes in this league.
And a block there on Thomas, and he better be careful. He better be careful. You don't want to pick up a technical here.
Well, how about Heinrich? What great defense. You mentioned it. They put him on Pierce the last couple of possessions. Pierce calling out a play, cradles the basketball, and Heinrich able to knock it away, and Tyrese Thomas goes the other way. No, 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 Tyrese, wait. Okay, no, good shot. We'll take the 3-point lead.
Rondo back to the line. I would love to have seen Vinny Del Negro's facial expression as Thomas dribbled by Heinrich, kept going, and then when the ball went up and eventually went in.
I would imagine his mouth was wide open. His hands were on his head.
1-point game.
Let's see if they go to Gordon again, coming off some picks, maybe some isolation for him, or Derrick Rose on a pick and roll. Looks like same play as last time down. Gordon going to come off the pick and roll.
Gordon. 12 in the quarter for Ben Gordon.
There's nothing easy about that shot. That was well defended. That's just better offense. Good defense, better O.
Chicago by 3 with barely a minute to go. Rondo to Davis and a foul by Rose.
Chicago fouls on number 1, Derrick Rose. That's his 4th personal team limit.
Well, some of the big performances today for the Chicago Bulls. Rose in his first ever playoff game, 32-9. Joakim Noah has been terrific on the glass, and Ben Gordon wouldn't have made this graphic until we got to the 4th quarter, but he has been on fire here in the 4th.
Well, 12 of his 20 here in the 4th. And that's what makes great players. Struggled mightily in the first 3 quarters. But now when the chips are down.
And now here comes Tony Allen for Ray Allen, and that's to try to slow down Ben Gordon.
I think you're right. Offense, defense here. Doc Rivers going to go to Ray Allen, struggling mightily at 1 for 10 in the game. But don't be surprised if he gets a big shot down the end. You said it at the timeout. Ray Allen will hit a game winner today.
Yeah, well,
did you go that far, or you say he's going to hit a big shot?
I said you never know. He could. Okay. He's hit a few. He's hit countless, but this season he made a number of big shots.
Right.
And even if he's 1 for 10, Rondo and Pierce wouldn't hesitate to give him the ball.
You're right about that.
The open shot.
More chance the next one goes in when you miss the ball.
Rose off balance, and the tap won't go for Noah. Here come the Celtics. Noah stays down on the shot fake by Pierce. Here comes the help. And Heinrich with the foul. Pierce will shoot 2.
What a smart play by Paul Pierce. 2 guys on him. No need if you're Heinrich to jump at that. You're not going to block this shot. You never foul a jump shooter. But Paul Pierce takes his time, gets the contact, and almost pulls off a miraculous 3-point play opportunity.
Pierce 83% from the line on the season. The Chicago bench down at the end there's Vinny Del Negro's dad, Vin Del Negro. I'm a little worried he's going to be at the scorer's table next time we see him.
Where's his media pass? He started out in the 3rd deck, and here he is right on the court. Must be nice.
Boston by 1. Two big free throws for Paul Pierce, who's been there, done that so many times before.
Yeah, some kind of ball game here, Dan.
Remember, the Celtics on their way to the championship went 7 games for the first 3 rounds last year.
That's right.
And this year, without Garnett and some other changes, 1 fewer games this year, maybe not quite the team that they were last year. And here they are in a terrific fight in game 1.
No, they're not. Ray Allen again struggling, just 1 of 10. Struggled mightily last season in the first couple rounds of the playoffs. He cannot afford that. He does not have that luxury with Kevin Garnett out of this lineup. Paul Pierce not playing great today, but Ray Allen has got to be a factor. Even if the Celtics want to get out of this first round, this Chicago Bulls team, with what's transpired today, they believe. Yep. They believe that they can play with this Celtic team and beat this Celtic team.
Well, you steal one on the road, you never know, right?
Oh, absolutely. You get this game, game 2. You've already basically done what you've come out to hope to do, is get a split. Maybe they're just young enough, like we've talked about throughout the broadcast, that they don't know how big this is.
ESPNU Spring Football from Alabama is coming up next year on ESPN. And don't forget, tip-off is just a few minutes away. We're just getting going right about now between Detroit and Cleveland. Game 1 of that series on ABC. And a doubleheader tonight here on ESPN. Dallas and San Antonio at 8. Portland and Houston at 10:30. Well, if you haven't been with us all afternoon, get a load of what Derrick Rose has done in his NBA playoff debut. These are some of the highest scoring games. These are the highest scoring games in NBA playoff debut history. And Derrick Rose is right on the verge of that. And oh, by the way, he's got 9 assists in today's game as well.
It's a pretty good company there.
Yep. Gary
Brokaw. is that the brother Tom?
Chicago with the ball, down 1. What are you looking for?
Well, you know, it's been Ben Gordon coming off a single-double action to the top of the key. Does he just straight isolate or use pick and roll? And if it's not him, it's got to be Derrick Rose breaking down his man and going to the basket. Salmon's back in the game now. You get some perimeter shooting with Heinrich and him. Brad Miller can make a pass from the top of the key. You can play off of him. But I expect Ben Gordon to be the guy here.
Tony Allen on Ben Gordon, Ray Allen on Kirk Heinrich, and Rajon Rondo on Derrick Rose. Rose driving.
Oh, goodness.
Knocked out by Pierce. Count the basket. 34 for Rose. Chicago back on top.
You don't see this, Dan. This guy is a rookie. You just ran a straight isolation for him. The crossover to go around Rondo and able to finish over Big Baby Davis. I've never seen a guy this calm, cool, and collected in the ball game like this. This is a tremendous performance from Derrick Rose.
Boston ball when we come back. A quick update from the studio with Mark Jones.
All right, Dan, over on ABC, the Pistons and Cavaliers in Game 1 of that Eastern Conference playoff series Detroit lost the season series against the Cavaliers. Right now, the game tied at 4 apiece. LeBron James made his opening field goal of the game, and a nice drive right there to put the Cavaliers up by a couple of points. Remember, Dan, they were 39-2 at home this year. Back to you.
And as you well know, Jonesy, had they not rested people in the final game, would have been 40-1. Lost to Philadelphia in the last game of the season. Here's Chicago trying to pull off a Game 1 upset in Boston. 95-94 Chicago. Derrick Rose with 34. It's Boston's ball with 31 seconds to go coming out of the timeout.
You really don't have time for 2-for-1. You only have 7-second differential. So unless you design a play that is a catch-and-shoot play, which you can do, they could get a 2-for-1, get another possession, but I don't think we'll see that. I think this has got to be a Paul Pierce at the top, isolation. If someone comes to double, you know they're not going to leave Ray Allen. They can leave Big Baby, they can leave Rajon Rondo or Perkins, but I would assume that we go Paul Pierce, top of the key. You wanted to put it on the floor, put the onus on the official to make a call, get some contact, and maybe get to the line.
22 lead changes in this game today. Chicago by 1.
Now Solomon's back on Pierce, a little more size in case they try to post Paul Pierce.
Heinrich on Ray Allen. Allen gets it off. And who gets the rebound but Rondo? Over Noah. Sensational.
Are you kidding? Point guards are rebounding the ball. We're seeing jump hooks. What a play.
I know we said it before, but we're going to be watching these two, Rose and Rondo, for a long, long time.
You're right. I mean, a beautiful rebound. They did go 2-for-1. They went for a catch and shoot with Ray Allen at the three-point line. Great rebound by Rondo. Keeps his dribble alive and shoots a jump hook over Joakim Noah. Keeps his dribble around Perkins, uses a little pick, pump fake, step through, and a jump hook over a guy that's 6'11", and he's 6'1". That's not supposed to happen, Dan.
4 lead changes in the last minute and 22 seconds. Chicago's got it back, down by 1.
Rondo with 29 points now.
9 rebounds,
no
7 assists.
No turnover.
Amazing. Derrick Rose, 34 points, 9 assists. He has turned it over 5 times, but I mean, this has been the point guard battle from the moment it began. Chicago's got it back. The shot clock is turned on. No timeouts for the Bulls.
Well, if you go ISO Rose again at the top, or you come to Gordon, I think you just let Derrick Rose have it at the top. I don't want to pick and roll. Just clear it. 1-4 action and let him get to the cup. He's done it all afternoon long, and now it's Gordon's turn.
Off the side of the backboard. Still loose. Chicago's got it. Still plenty of time. And a travel.
No,
wait a minute.
not. This ball was touched.
Yeah, Eddie Rush is calling over Bennett Salvatore.
Dan, Chicago's got the ball. That was clearly hit.
Yeah.
Salmons, he was allowed to go ahead and dribble that basketball. But what it does is they had a great opportunity to score.
Why was Chicago in such a rush on that final possession?
Well, I think Salmons didn't know once they got that loose ball, he lost track of time. They should have gone ahead, regrouped.
Remember,
but nonetheless, they have the ball now. Let's see if they run the same play. It's going to be Rose this time.
They can't get it to him. Miller trying.
Better be careful, Rondo.
Rondo a foul.
That's free throws.
Yep.
You can't foul there.
Derrick Rose, 10 of 10 from the line. He's a little shaken up. Might have gotten poked in the eye by Rondo.
I applaud the hustle and the desire of Rondo, but you cannot foul in that situation. You have a 1-point lead, and you're fouling a man that's 28 feet from the basket. Bad play there by Rondo. Well, he hasn't missed one, Dan. You said it, not me. So let's see what happens. Ooh, nothing but nylon.
He's pretty relaxed and calm out there, isn't he?
Are you kidding me?
It is deafening, and what he's facing, what he's seeing, and he's shooting the free throws, but well, he looks like the calmest guy in the building.
Now, I'm surprised that Chicago elected to go to Gordon on the previous play.
Rondo is limping. Rondo is coming out of the game. Stephon Marbury has just come in. Rondo has limped to the bench.
Well, we're going to get a timeout here regardless, make or miss, by the Celtics. They're going to be down 1 or tied. It will be a timeout. Doc Rivers drawing up a play right now. Oh, my.
36 points for Derrick Rose. Rose blinking, got poked in the eye. He's not doing great. Rondo limps to the bench. We'll see whether he comes back in. 2 huge free throws for the rookie, playing in his first ever NBA playoff game. Most points ever by a rookie in his playoff debut. That's a pretty solid group, Derrick Rose,
you think?
just joined.
Well, let's see. I tied Jabbar. I passed Wilt, and I passed Tim Duncan. So,
wow.
What a performance. We talked about this guy's demeanor. He hasn't changed all day long. 36 points. He's had some bad turnovers. He's made some tough plays, but man, does this guy keep his cool.
And now we set our sights on Rondo. Is he going to come back into the game?
Oh, he's in the game. He's got to be back in the game, Dan.
Let's take a look. It was on the collision. Oh, there
I think he might have got
rolled his ankle.
Yeah. I think he might have got a knee to the thigh, little Charlie horse. But now, 9 seconds to go. It's got to be Paul Pierce, and you want to take this ball to the hoop unless you get a clear-cut step-back jump shot. You want to put the pressure on the defense. Don't bail them out by taking a fadeaway jump shot.
Eddie House in the game as well. All kinds of options for Boston.
It's Pierce.
Heinrich defending. Pierce. And Noah the foul.
What a bad foul.
And Vinny Del Negro's not arguing the call.
No,
he's shaking his head looking at his player.
No, he bumped him. I like the idea of a double team, but you don't have to be that aggressive. Just come over and contest. You don't block jump shots. Noah with the right idea to come double, but just a terrible, terrible foul. Never foul a jump shooter, but there is 2.6 remaining. Although Chicago out of timeouts, Dan, so they're going to have to go here. Boston should be aware of this, that they're going to have to go make or miss after Pierce's second free throw.
Marbury in for House.
At 2.6. You got to have a long play designed here if you're Vinny Del Negro to try to get yourself as good a look as possible. I would imagine it's something for Ben Gordon on the run.
Tony Allen in for Ray Allen.
Tony Allen replaces Ray Allen.
Who's got who is what the Celtics are trying to figure out right now. Here's the second free throw.
2.6, a lot of time, Dan. They don't have to hurry. Well, you have to hurry, but you don't have to. You get a good look. Oh, he missed it.
Overtime in Boston. Paul Pierce misses the second free throw. And we are not quite done yet.
Yes, 5 more. Yes.
The Celtics and Bulls are going overtime at TD Bank North Garden. He missed the second. Vinny Del Negro's dad loves it. We got OT.
Mark Jones back in the studio with your SportsCenter in-game update. Over on ABC, Game 1 between the Pistons and the Cavaliers. LeBron James with a nice jab step and go. Great finger roll. He has 8 points so far, and the Cavaliers leading 18-12, Dan.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. We're going to overtime here in Boston in Game 1 between the Bulls and the Celtics. A foul by Joakim Noah sends Paul Pierce to the line. He makes the first, misses the second. The Bulls don't get a good look in the last couple of seconds. Everybody's on their cell phone saying, man, are you watching this game? You've got to turn on ESPN and watch this game because it's not over yet. Derrick Rose with 36 points. Rajon Rondo with 29. And we've got overtime between the Bulls and the Celtics.
And we've got a hockey game at 8 p.m.
Yeah, and we got a lot of people who are waiting to get out here and tear this floor up so they can get ready for the hockey game tonight. Playoff game between the Canadiens and the Bruins. But that'll have to wait at least 5 more minutes.
They better hope that they don't go another one, but I'm hoping we do, because this has been a point guard battle for the ages. Yep. These guys have just gone after each other. Absolutely incredible.
Paul Pierce, of course, a great free throw shooter, great clutch player. Second free throw. Wow.
Can't get much closer than that, Dan.
Didn't get the bounce, and here we go into overtime. Nobody has fouled out in this game. The only player with 5 is Big Baby.
Well, now Ray Allen can still make a big shot for you, like you predicted.
Ray Allen just 1 of 11, 4 points. Wow. Ben Gordon was ice cold until the 4th quarter. He got 12 points in the 4th quarter. Davis, yes! Pretty nimble for a 290-pound guy.
Well, very nimble. Use the left hand underneath the basket. He's not a guy that can play above the rim. So use that rim as an extra defender, and he did a great job of that.
Gordon over Allen. Allen must have gotten a piece. Allen can't control it and fumbles it out of bounds back to the Bulls.
Wow. This is so reminiscent of his early playoff struggles last year. Fumbling the ball out of bounds. That's the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen that, Dan. Struggling to shoot the ball, obviously. Ray Allen better come out of this funk if the Celtics have any aspirations of getting out of this series.
Thomas. A big jumper for Thomas, and that's assist number 10 for Rose.
Well, that was by design. Boston stayed 2 guys on Derrick Rose. Big Baby came over, and they designed that for Tyrese Thomas to take that shot.
And now Thomas called for the block on Rondo. Number 5 on Thomas.
Well, both of these teams having major difficulties of going underneath the screens on both of these point guards. It's easier said than done, because these guys are so quick. They're so hard to meet on the other side. By the time you get there, they're gone.
But it's the only way to play it, right?
No. You can change up the coverage. You can give a nice hard show with the big guy and just force him to go out towards half court and then get back. Can't give him a direct line to the basket as Pierce misses the elbow jumper.
Rebound number 17 for Joakim Noah. Other than the bad foul right at the end of regulation, Noah has been outstanding today.
Yeah, it's hard to fault him. That was a great effort play, but
Salmons. A big jumper for John Salmons. And Chicago goes back on top. Ray Allen on a switch has Salmons on him. Now Pierce with a size advantage on Ben Gordon.
Got to come double that.
Pierce gets it back.
Got to come double that, Dan.
They don't. Pierce misses. And it will be Boston ball, I believe. Yes, it is, with a fresh 24.
Well, this is that play that we got an inadvertent whistle. It turned out to be that they thought Salmons traveled or double dribbled. Bennett Salvador missing that call. They got it right, but it really took an opportunity from the Bulls. They would have got a nice look on that play and potentially win the game.
Rondo trying to split the double team is fouled. I think Rose got called for it, and it's number 5 on Rose.
Well, here the pick and roll again. Tyrese Thomas cannot allow the man to split the double team. Got to come up closer to the man that's making the screen. You should be in contact with him, so there's no space for Rondo to get through.
Tough spot for Rose. He's got to be careful.
Very careful.
They can't do it without him. I mean, he has been the dominant player in this game.
We can put Lindsey Hunter in an oven to see if he can warm up.
And Boston turns it over.
Was that Rondo's first turnover of the game?
Like it was. Into overtime, not bad.
50-some odd minutes in the game.
I mean, we forget he's only in his 3rd year.
That's right.
Terrific, of course, last season. But compared to Rose, he's a grizzled veteran. Gordon, nice feed. Thomas spinning, kicks it back out. Gordon got Allen in the air. And does not nail the three.
This three-point shooting by both teams has been dreadful. 3 for 17 now for Chicago. Boston not much better at 4 of 16.
Nope.
That's 25%. I can't figure out the other one.
Again.
4 of 16, right?
Worse. Again, that'll keep a Barry awake at night. 3 for 17.
That's just, you wouldn't eat at my house, Dan.
Pierce. Rose on him this time.
You got to come get the ball out of his hands.
Yep. Rose has 5 fouls. Oh. Rose almost fell on Pierce. Perkins gets the bounce to tie the game. That was very nearly the end of Derrick Rose.
That was very nearly a 3-second call. Perkins seemed to be in there forever.
Thomas over Davis. Oh, how about Tyrus Thomas knocking down jumper after jumper?
Just like we said, yeah, we love him outside of the perimeter.
First page in the Bulls playbook. 14 for Thomas, 7 of 10 from the field. On a switch, Pierce over Rose, tie game. Pierce said he got a hit on the elbow. Michael Smith, the official, didn't agree.
Dan, I'm just saying you've got to take the ball out of his hands. There's nobody that can guard him there. He can get that shot anytime he wants. Make someone else on this Celtic team beat you.
Rose with a burst of speed. Thomas.
Oh, 3 seconds.
3-second call. Boston ball with 1:20 to go.
Wow, what a tough call with 1:20 in overtime to get a 3-second call.
Pierce again, one-on-one with Rose. Not this time. Look at Thomas. That is just leaping ability. He lost it to Rondo, but then Rondo stepped out of bounds.
You know, Chicago very fortunate Pierce has not made those shots. But don't you want someone else to come out and beat you? Rondo with a nice sip there. He said he was on the out-of-bounds line, but I'm not letting Paul Pierce ice. That's what he wants.
Yep.
He can shoot over anybody. Take the ball out of his hands.
Well, Paul Pierce has made things happen not only for himself here in overtime, JB, but for others as well.
Well, it's always him at the top. And he's very capable of finding players, unselfish. He doesn't take bad shots. Perkins has been huge in the paint, started early in this game. And Tyrus Thomas, a guy that we said we didn't like to see that jump shot, but he's made him with regularity today. And Paul Pierce back on the other end. He's always going to be able to get his shot over Derrick Rose, and he's able to knock that down. And we're tied. Still 52 minutes into this game, right? 51-40, 51-57. There you go. Is that what it is?
There you go. ABC is your NBA destination tomorrow. It's the Utah Jazz and the LA Lakers in a game 1 of their series. It begins with GMC NBA Countdown. John Barry, a part of that show at 2:30 Eastern Time. Then it's Kobe and the Lakers against De'Aaron Williams and the Jazz. Boy, if this game is any indication of the kind of excitement we're in for in the NBA playoffs this year, buckle up and enjoy the ride. Look at the Western Conference brackets. A lot of people keeping an eye on a very young, talented Portland Trailblazer team. Houston lost out on a home court advantage after losing in their season finale to Dallas. San Antonio taking on Dallas, who's playing very well in Denver and New Orleans.
What do you think about that one? San Antonio, Dallas. What do you think?
Dallas is playing well. They are playing real good.
They just did their last game.
Did the Wednesday game. You saw the game. Jason Kidd's playing great. Yep. Nowitzki's playing great. Josh Howard, maybe the X factor for that.
That's exactly what I was. Where is Josh Howard? This guy has been an all-star. He has got to play at a high level. If he does, I really like the Dallas Mavericks' chances to win that series.
Jason Terry, of course, supplying 20 points a game off the bench. Bulls ball with just over a minute to go here in overtime. And who else but Rose? 36 points and 11 assists for the rookie.
Double down here for Gordon.
Thomas. Are you kidding?
That's one step inside the three-point line.
Another long jumper for Tyrus Thomas, and Chicago leads again. He's got 6 points on 3 jumpers here in overtime. Pierce gives it up. Rondo. Now Davis. Inside, no. And the Bulls have it. And a foul called on Boston. I think that's all. Big Baby is done.
What a performance by Tyrus Thomas. Yep. I mean, how many guys have stepped up in this game? It's Thomas knocking down jump shots. It's been Rose from the outset. Great defense here. Good help by Noah. A step through. Rose is even there to contest the shot. And then Thomas back up to get that rebound. He's knocked over by Big Baby Davis, who just fouled out.
Vinny Del Negro, as we take another look at the last shot, Tyrus Thomas. Vinny Del Negro said it was before the game. I've got a rookie starter, that's Rose. I've got a second-year starter, that's Noah. And I've got a third-year starter, that's Thomas. That's how young they are. And all 3 of those guys have played great here today.
They've been absolutely huge.
Let's go back to Mark Jones in the studio.
All right, Dan, Mark Jones with a SportsCenter in-game update. Over on ABC, LeBron James out of the gate quickly, has 12 points. Great explosive move to the hoop and the strong finish. You know, Mike Brown, their head coach, told me recently the chemistry of this team is better than any team he's ever been associated with. Passes like that shows that they are on the same vibes. Zydrunas Ilgauskas with the layup. Cavs by 3. Dan, back to you.
All right, Jonesy, thank you. Got a 2-point lead here for Chicago, just 32.6 seconds to go. And what can you say about Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah and Tyrus Thomas, the baby Bulls, if you will? Look at the afternoons that they've had today.
Well, 17 rebounds, just dominant down there. After Perkins got off to a great start early in this game in the paint, Noah has more than made up for that. He has been terrific. He's blocked shots. And Thomas, just great athleticism, knocking down jumpers. He's taking the ball out on the break. I love his athleticism. And Derrick Rose has just been unflappable. I love his demeanor.
Noah's gone out right now. Brad Miller has come back in.
You know, Miller not shooting the ball well, but he's got 12 rebounds off the bench, too.
8.5-second difference, game clock and shot clock. Chicago with the ball in a 2-point lead.
Little isolation, Derrick Rose. See if they come up with a high pick from Brad Miller or just let him isolate. Here comes Miller.
And here goes Rose. Thomas again. Not this time, rebound Pierce. Timeout Boston, 11.6 to go.
You know, I just don't run a play like that where you know that's the shot you're going to get. You have Derrick Rose. If you run a pick and roll, you know he's going to get double teamed, and that's exactly what the Celtics do. Perkins comes over. Now he's got time to rotate back to Miller, and you leave Thomas, who you take your chances on taking a jump shot, as opposed to Derrick Rose going to the basket.
So Boston will get an opportunity. They get the ball back with 11.6 seconds to go. Yeah. Since the beginning of the fourth quarter, so just in the fourth quarter and overtime, JB, there have been 9 ties and 11 lead changes. This has been some kind of a start to the NBA playoff season. There's a lot of praying going on in this building right now for these Boston fans who are watching their Red Sox and their Bruins and their Celtics and everything going on here in Boston all at the same time. But what a game one this has been.
And I think Boston's going to come out here and go to Paul Pierce right at the top of the key again. This is the play. If you switch that with Derrick Rose, he can shoot right over him. And if I'm the Chicago Bulls, I am running at him and taking it out of his hands. Make Rondo shoot a jump shot. Now Leon Poe is in the ballgame, or we'll see what kind of lineup Doc Rivers comes out with. I'd put Eddie House in the game. Pierce has been terrific in the second half after a slow start. He's got 23 for the game. I'm going to him.
Bulls with a foul to give. How does that factor in?
Well, yeah, you definitely use that. You like, if they're going to isolate Pierce, wait till he makes a move and puts it on the floor. Obviously, you want to be careful that he doesn't get into a shooting motion. Yeah. But don't just waste it when he's not trying to make a move to the basket.
Rondo, House, Ray Allen, Pierce, Perkins.
Well, great idea here, Doc Rivers. You're going to put shooters all around the floor. Cannot leave House. You cannot leave Allen. Rondo will probably stay around the basket as well as Perkins, so you can't double from the basket area. Pierce should be at the top with shooters on each side.
Salmons on Pierce. Rose on Rondo. Heinrich on Allen. And Tyrus Thomas on House in the one mismatch. Big against small. Rondo fouled by Rose. No basket. No basket. And Rose has fouled out. Timeout Boston.
Well, there was their foul to give. I don't want Derrick Rose being the guy that does that in case Boston ties this game up.
And there were 2 fouls up on the scoreboard before that foul. Now there are 4.
Well, no, they had one to give.
Had one to give.
Yeah, but this was a nice play design here. It's a fake handoff to Pierce, and there goes Rondo. Caught Rose off guard. He wasn't ready for Rose to take the ball to the basket. You know, I would bet that Doc Rivers did that on purpose, saying, you think we're going to Pierce, let's fake that handoff and go to the basket and get a foul.
Back here in a moment. First back to the studio again with Mark.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Mark Jones with your SportsCenter in-game update. Over on ABC right now, Cleveland against Detroit, Game 1. And Daniel Boobie Gibson, a key element off their bench, hitting the long-range jumper. Cavaliers by 5 over on ABC. Back to you, Dan.
All right, Jones, you're looking forward to tuning into that one whenever this one is over. 10.3 left to go in overtime. Boston with the ball, down by 2. Derrick Rose has fouled out. So it's Thomas, Noah, Salmons, Heinrich, and Gordon for the Bulls. And it's Pierce, the Finals MVP of a year ago. Driving, lost it. And Boston will have it with 3.7 to go. And a 20-second timeout.
Boy, it didn't look like anybody touched that. But Paul Pierce going to the basket, putting the onus on the officials, trying to get some contact and get back to that free throw line to tie this up. Now you have an out of bounds underneath down 2. Certainly changes things. You're more accustomed to making play calls from out at the half-court area than from underneath the basket.
And no timeouts left for Boston. Grousbeck, the managing partner of the Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge, of course, the general manager who helped put this team together that won the championship a year ago, recovering in a hospital from what has been called a mild heart attack a couple of days ago. And again, we extend our very best wishes to Danny Ainge that hopefully he will be able to get home and get well very, very soon. A terrific player in his own right, of course. Kevin Garnett, injured, doubtful for the entire playoffs. Spent the first half on the bench, in the locker room for the second half. Probably pacing like crazy right now. The Celtics with one more opportunity. Ray Allen. And the Chicago Bulls will win Game 1 here in Boston. Ray Allen with a dismal shooting afternoon finishes 1 for 12. Got a great look. And Derrick Rose and the Bulls beat the Celtics here in Game 1 as father and son embrace on the court.
Well, Ray Allen had his chance, Dan. I thought it was going in, but a dismal day, and you got to tip your hat to the Chicago Bulls coming in and beating the defending champs in the first game of the playoffs.
36 points and 11 assists for Derrick Rose in about as good a rookie playoff debut as you will ever see. A sensational performance, and Rajon Rondo was just about as good. Let's go to Nancy Lieberman standing by with Derrick Rose.
Well, thanks, Dan. You were supposed to be too young, too inexperienced to come in against the world champions. What happened?
It don't really matter. If you play hard, you should be able to do anything. My veterans told me to go out there, play my game. I played my game, and I didn't want to lose the game.
Were you aware that you tied Abdul-Jabbar's first playoff game in his debut? He had 36 points. You had 36 points, 10 assists. Were you aware of that record?
No, ma'am, but I'm happy I'm there.
That's big stuff to be in company with Abdul-Jabbar. What was it like for you on the court, again, throughout the course of the game against Rondo?
He's a good player, a good guy. guy, always attacking. We just competitors, just playing against each other, just having fun on the court.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
Dan.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much. Well, he may be soft-spoken, but his game spoke volumes here today. 36 points and 11 assists for Derrick Rose in the first playoff game of what's sure to be a very long and successful NBA career. The final score here from Boston, the Chicago Bulls 105, the Boston Celtics 103. For John Barry, Nancy Lieberman, and our crew, I'm Dan Shulman, thanking you for watching. Coming up next, ESPN News Spring Football, Alabama, Pistons and Cavs on ABC. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. So long from Boston.